Welcome to episode 44 of TerrorVision Horror Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dan McGuinness, and joining me on the Midnight Meat Train is my co-host, Jennifer the Dream Warrior Strand. Toot toot, toot toot. Every week we take one horror movie and we cut it to pieces with our internet dagger words. Together we are two people with a love of horror, and we feel the burn of our obsolete Blockbuster/Movieland memberships. I'd just like to thank all of our listeners who support us over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and the YouTube. We love you. Thank you very much. And I'd just like to do a shout out to all the people that interact with us and help our little funny podcast grow. People like Adam Gillespie, Sam Cripps, thanks Cripsy, thanks Mr. Gillespie, Bryn Phillips, who's he? No one knows. Dion Cracknell, and most importantly, all our mums that like every post that we do but never have listened to the show.
It's true. My mum listened to about 10 minutes and she's like, I don't understand what you're saying, but I appreciate that you're doing something.
That you're doing something? Yeah. Good one. Thanks, Mum.
Thanks, Mum.
So straight into our fun facts about ourselves this week. Every week we say a little fact about ourselves so you as the listeners can grow to feel like you know us. I'm wondering, this is very hearty cricket cricket weather at the moment. We have some really loud crickets. So
I like it.
So if you can hear crickets, just don't worry about them.
Yeah.
No, actually there are no crickets. You're just going crazy.
Pay no mind to the crickets.
I once had a nemesis, and one of my plans was to put little microphones in his roof, and of sounds that are. It's like a motion sensor at the other end of the room, so it sets it off, and then when you go find it, it stops it, and it's in there, and a sound to make him go crazy.
Oh my god!
That's not my fun fact.
That is a fun fact though, but I like that.
My fun fact for the week is once when I was like 27, I decided I was in a supermarket. And I was really into pickled octopus, that stuff that you get. And I was doing my shopping, and I bought the pickled octopus. And I was so hungry, I just decided to eat it, while you're walking along. And then I finished it, and instead of paying for it, I just threw it away. Because I was like, bugger this, because I was like, no rules, Pepsi generation.
Yep.
And anyhow, I just went about my business doing my shopping. And then at the end, I was just about to leave. I thought nothing of it. I was like, who gives a fuck? It's like Foodland or Woolworths or something like that. I was on the way out. I was actually out on the street, and they go, "Oh, can you come back?" And they came back and like, "You didn't pay for that pickled octopus." And I went, "So?"
And that was the end of that.
No. And then they took me in. They called the police. They charged me like full as if I'd done, and they were full gnarly. The cops came and they were like, "What?" And they were just like, why are you wasting our time to the supermarket people? And they're like, can you even pay for it? I said, the reason I didn't pay for it is I didn't want to break my $100 note. And I was like, can you break this 100?
Oh my God.
And then they made me go down to the police station, and I got charged with shoplifting. So I have like a record.
Now you have a
but then when I went down to the police station, they're just like, if you just admit you did it, you just don't get anything. And they were like, this is we got called out for this.
Wow.
But then I learned later that because I was outside, they physically couldn't have done anything to me. I could have just walked off. I wasn't in the premises anymore, and that's a rule. But they actually made me come back in and then did it. So they Anyhow, doesn't matter. That's my thing. So the first time I shoplifted, I got caught, and it was pickled octopus.
Wow.
And I was like 27. The age you shouldn't be.
No, that's where you know better.
Yeah.
You know better.
Well, I didn't go out going, I'm going to steal.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm fucking lazy.
Well, I was actually in the Elizabeth Shopping Centre the other day, which is always a terrifying venture.
Experience.
And as I was finishing up and walking out, two lads who would have been in their early 20s, wearing, their hoods over their head, came bolting out of Coles, both with a Coles basket each full of food, and they just came running out of the centre. The security guard kind of stood there and watched it happen, and then he's like, oh, wait, yeah, I'm a security guard, and came running after them.
Who expects people to run out with the green baskets?
Well, because we now live in this day and age where kids and anyone, you can't touch anyone. So security cannot touch you, which is terrible. So all these people just walking going, well, what the fuck are you going to do? You cannot touch me.
Yeah. It's a weird time, as in, especially if you're underage as well. You can do whatever you want.
And I do feel that some of these kids need a good backhand.
Well, we got kids that are problems out the front of our shop, and every year, once they get over 18, they disappear, and a new generation of kids come, and it's just like, oh, fuck off, cunts.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, my fun fact for the week, I might save I had someone charged for a attempted robbery over $1 for next time. I fractured my foot once while I was smoking the devil's lettuce.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait, doesn't it make you lazy?
Yes, it does. So we're standing outside.
So I've heard.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I was holding it for a friend.
It was the first time.
Yeah, no.
I didn't inhale. Didn't exhale.
So we were just, me and a couple of friends standing outside, just having a toke, and all of a sudden I was just like, huh. And then next minute I was on the floor, and I must have just passed out. Don't know why, because doesn't really have that kind of effect on me. Anyway, I woke up and I was like...
How would you know? It was the first time you'd done it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My foot hurt so bad, but I did not fall in any weird position. It was just kind of like I fell back. So I got a bit of a bump on my noggin, but my foot was really sore. Somehow I'd managed to fracture my foot.
Weird.
Passing out.
That's what that was the devil's curse.
Yeah.
That's the price you pay
I have a tendency to...
for going against the church.
Exactly. I have a tendency to break bones in very odd ways.
Oh, well, that's great and weird and doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Are you sure you just didn't pass out and your friends just didn't kick the shit out of you?
Oh, that does sound like that person, but yeah, I don't know.
Maybe. Anyhow, let's move on to our spoiler cast. Yes, every week Jennifer and I set ourselves a horror movie to watch, and then we go through it scene by scene and spoil the fuck out of it. It's basically the premise of the whole podcast. It's a deep dive into glorious gore, hard edits, cheesy acting, directing madness, and severed wangs. We have I just missed out compound fracture for some reason, and compound fractures.
Yeah.
We have a rating system. What is our rating system, Jennifer?
All right. So we have A, which is awesome, everybody should watch. B is our beer and chicken wing group movie. F is fun and dumb. C is classic that's worth a watch. We've got U, which is underrated. G, good for its time, but is not held up. We've got the J, Jen special. The D, Dan special. We've got the W, whatever, so off my radar. We've got the Kesha, which is the low-budget hot mess. And the cream of the crap, the McConaughey.
Bum, bum, bum.
The fucking fucked.
The worst.
Just don't watch it. We watched it, so you don't have to.
It's true. But not on that scale end of the spectrum is what we watched this week, which is Dark Skies from 2013.
Yes, written and directed by Scott Stewart, starring Kerry Russell and J.K. Simmons.
I love J.K. Simmons.
Yes, who doesn't?
Like, how's the acting roles he chooses? Is that one about the drums? You know, the
Whiplash?
Yeah.
That's
like,
a great film.
But that film's crazy.
Yeah.
And then he's like Spider-Man's boss. And Counterpart, you know, that TV show that he's in. And like so many good things, man. Like,
he's Juno's dad.
Yes, he was, wasn't he? Yeah, I forgot about Anyhow, J.K. Simmons, and he's a great character in this.
Oh, he's
Scott
fantastic.
Stewart, what else has he done? Do we know?
He's done some producing. He did Legion, the 2010 movie, which I never watched.
With the angels in the coffee bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I actually enjoyed that film.
There you go.
Angels with Uzis. Sexy men.
Wasn't that Constantine?
No, they didn't have Uzis. As in Uzi millimeters.
Sure.
9 millimeters, sorry.
Anyway, budget was $3.5 million. Box office was $27.8 million.
Oh, that's great.
Despite receiving very mixed reviews.
Really?
This was a huge success, yeah.
Yeah, because this is... no, I'm not going to say what this is, because I want to get into it at the end of what I think of this film.
Okay, well...
That warms me cockles to hear that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a Blumhouse, so they've got Blumhouse marketing behind them, which is fantastic.
But as I said, though, Blumhouse or Blum, whatever it is, it's a bit of a hit and miss every now and then.
Yeah.
But this was... When it came up, because I remember I quite like this film, and I'd forgotten it was a blummer.
Yeah,
and it came up, and I was like, oh, yeah. Because at first we were like, it might not be a horror film, but we're going to watch it. And I'm like, it definitely is.
Yeah.
It's got that name attached to it. It's a Blummo.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple of fun facts before we jump on in. The screenplay was written in just 6 weeks.
That's pretty good.
Yep. J.K. Simmons was also a last-minute sign-on. They kind of needed someone, and they're like, yo.
Just like, how do you pick actors like that? They're just like, do you want to do it? He goes, okay.
Yep. Kerry Russell was the first and only choice for the role of Lacey Barrett. And
Who I called Mum in my notes.
I literally just referred to her as Felicity the whole way through.
Oh, really? I have in this, so there's like 4 characters in this film. One's called Mum, one's called Dad, and then older brother, younger brother.
Right.
Because like I only got their names halfway through and I kind of just commit to the names I give them in my notes. But yeah, I think I started calling the guy his name, which is Daniel, because it's my name and I remembered it.
Yeah.
That's his name.
That's fair. Well, she has previously stated that she had no interest in any kind of genre like this. So, you know, she's mostly a rom-com kind of gal. But she signed on because she read the script and she was just so drawn to the mum character. And she gives it her all. So... yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
What's its thingies?
Oh.
It's a synopsis and tagline.
Fucking love
its
a
tagline?
Once you've been chosen, you belong to them.
Ooh, nice.
From the producers of Paranormal Activity, Insidious and Sinister comes Dark Skies.
Oh.
Yep.
But producers, what, the people that organise the money?
Pretty much, yeah. A supernatural thriller that follows a young family living in the suburbs. As husband and wife, Daniel and Lacey Barrett witness an escalating series of disturbing events involving their family. Their safe and peaceful home quickly unravels. When it becomes clear that the Barrett family is being targeted by an unimaginable, terrifying and deadly force, Daniel and Lacey...
Not really deadly, eh?
No, not really. Anyway, Daniel and Lacey take matters in their own hands to solve the mystery of what is after their family.
Nice.
That's a pretty good synopsis too.
That's a long... I felt that was too much. I felt it could have like just... it could have like stopped at disturbing events involve their family, their safety and their peaceful home becomes unraveled. That's just the way it could have stopped.
Yeah, that's a good way.
The rest is just like, you know, added crap. All right, so...
We start.
We get this nice little snippet of a quote on the screen. 2 possibilities exist. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying, by Arthur C. Clarke. Who is a science fiction writer. That is a great quote, hey? Because it's just like, it really sets into stone the vibe of the film. It's just like, this isn't trying to say, this isn't a documentary about this is what has happened to someone, or trying to say that this is true. This is just a horror film.
Yeah.
And like, you take it as like, you know, this is a story. But with this one here, they're like, yeah, like, it doesn't matter. Like, it could be anything. Yeah. I don't know where I'm going. Yeah. I've lost myself.
Nope, that's fine. So we get this very weirdly high-pitched, like, string instruments and just this weird, like...
Doomy static?
Yes, thank you.
It's like, yeah, like... And all those, like, you know, those, like, just big noise sounds. Like,
It sets the tone.
Yeah.
It sets the tone real good.
So that's the opening credits music is all this, like,
and
crap.
it just literally comes up with the title, Dark Skies, done. Boom. Straight into idyllic, suburban, all-American neighborhood.
And it really pushes this, eh? It's so this is the credits kind of as well. The credits are over. A montage of the typical... suburb, and there's lots of shots of just people doing shit, like walking dogs, washing cars, and it really overdoes it a bit. It's just like, there are people, just so many people going about their business in this little like sleepy suburb.
Yeah, just a standard suburb, you know, where everyone's happy and families are happy, and it's what it should be.
And that section's got like minimal violin and like wind chime sounds over it. It's really unsettling. It's not like it's showing these families like they've got this idyllic home thing, but there's something wrong going on.
Exactly. We get this very interesting glimpse of a local house that is for sale, which will pop back up later on. Cut to a barbecue. So, of course, we've been through the neighborhood. It's, you know, American. It's all apple pie and
the backyard,
and flags.
The backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a picnic bench.
Yeah.
They've got a barbecue. Kiss the cook, motherfucker. Apron and shit like that.
Dad's flipping burgers. You know, Mum's checking on young... So, Mum comes out. We're introduced to Kerry Russell. She comes out of the house. One of her youngest son he's found a lizard or something in the backyard. It has no tail, and he's like...
He's got it in a box. He's an inquisitive kid that's found a lizard.
Yeah.
It's fine. He's not killing it or anything.
No. She's... You know, she turns to the husband and she's like, oh, where is he? I told him to come home. She pulls out her phone. She rings up her son.
Her other son.
Her other son.
So, who I've just called older brother.
Sure. His name is Jesse, but yes.
Jesse.
So he responds to his mum. They're currently obviously at a friend's house, and they're having an epic game of Modern Warfare.
It's true.
Which is funny because while I was watching this, my girlfriend was also having an epic game of Modern Warfare.
Oh, weird. Yeah. I called his friend Donkey Mate because he is the jungerest kid.
Yeah.
He is the junger kid. You know the kid who always gets other kids in trouble. He's probably the first kid that would steal a car.
Yeah.
He's like, because he's had a bad upbringing. Like, he is. He'd be the first one that would get into like weird sex acts with other kids, and you know what I mean. Like he's like the forefront of. He's the kid you don't want your kid hanging out with.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I called him the donkey mate.
That is fair.
Or shit mate. Or
I can't remember what his
shit.
friend is, but yeah, he's a dickhead. Anyway,
he's ugly as well.
He is.
He's pimply.
But they're just sitting. So they're sitting there, and they're not playing Call of Duty. They're watching softcore porn.
Yeah, they're watching crappy porn.
The softest of coriest of porn.
And she's like, what was the line?
He's like, you've been a bad girl.
Yeah.
You need to be punished.
Yeah.
And then he just grabs a tit.
Which does come up later in the film.
Yeah. Not even in a nice way. It's just a honker kind of.
Honker?
You know?
Is that what they're called? Is that how women think of themselves? It's tooting.
No, women don't like the honker.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I've got to rethink some stuff.
Yeah.
And then that scene, and we have like the big brother. What's his name? Jesse. Kind of watching this porn. Like it's like he's taking in information. It's like he's taking mind notes, and he's really perplexed of what's going on in this scene. Like he doesn't even understand what he's watching. But he's like, what is he? 12, 13, 15,
yeah, he'd be
16? I reckon.
No, I think he's about 13 or 14 in this because this Dunga kid he's a couple of years older.
Oh,
so I think at one point
he'd be like
they
16,
mentioned
maybe 17. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's hanging out with an older kid as well. But yeah, he's quite perplexed by this. He's got this Beatles Lego Man haircut. He's like, he's basically a big Justin Bieber, a young Bieber.
It is the fashionable haircut of the time.
That kind of over the just banging fringe at the top of the eyes.
No.
In a Lego Man haircut. And then he jumps on his bike and he cruises home.
Yeah.
We see him on his BMX, and then
nighttime.
We come back to the barbecue. And at this time, there's a whole bunch of other people rocked up at the barbecue, which we can only assume is like the family friends of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's another family's basically there, which involves, I think, another little kid, a young girl, which I just called Redhead Girl.
Yeah, Ginger.
Ginger Girl, yeah. I don't know if she's got a name. I missed it.
I think she did, but...
Yeah, and so this is friends of the family. So the dads are friends, the mums are friends, the kids are friends. Yeah. That's the friend. And they're just, they're hanging out.
Yep, so they're having a bit of a gossip. I think the mums are having a bit of a, did you hear about like Cheyenne's terrible plastic surgery? She's now got 3 noses or something. Just the standard neighborhood gossip of what other families are doing because God forbid any family have any kind of issues.
Yeah.
That kind of
thing. The whole thing is like they rely on all their talk is who else is fucking up, which I've actually been in groups of people like that, and it's such a bore. People who rely on their only conversation is how other people are shitter than them. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's the worst. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, we got the little brother there. He's got the lizard in the shoebox. Showing the other kid, they're talking about it. Yeah, it's gonna die. He's like, whatever. And
it's fine.
The lizard doesn't actually come back into the story again.
No,
we've mentioned the lizard way too much now.
Yeah. There's a lizard. Jesse's also eyeing off the cute little ginger girl from across the table. They're kind of like,
it's more the ginger girl was instigating that, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because as we know, Jesse is perplexed in the fairer sex.
Yes. And she's a fiery redhead, so who knows what's going on.
She is. She does look like she's going to date Spider-Man later in her life.
Yes. And that's pretty much it. Like, we now cut to...
they really, the scenes are short and fast in this movie, but they really... cut straight to the point of what they're kind of doing. Like, you get the idea straight away that Jesse is a layered character. He's he's not just surface value. You get the idea, and then through this whole time, I think you get the idea. Did they mention kind of yet that they're kind of having
No.
problem or anything like
No,
that. Yeah,
so
so it's
we've-
idyllic at the moment.
This
the
is
family.
basically like, this is what American life is. This is what American family life is. And out in the open, this is how we present ourselves. Behind closed doors, that's when everything starts to crumble.
And then it cuts. After barbecue, it cuts to like nighttime, bedtime. We got Daniel, which is dad, in bed with wife.
Yes.
What's that name again?
Lily.
No?
No. I just call it, I think it's Lacey, but I just keep referring to her as Felicity.
Is it the same actor?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right.
100%.
All right.
So she's going through some papers. She's
Yeah.
on the bed. She's got like her laptop's open. She's got her thick
She's
glasses.
doing work
She's
in bed.
working. And
Work.
he's come into bed and he's just like,
Sexy time. Want to get sexy time?
sup. And she's just sort of turns to him. She's like, look, I need to go through these papers. We need this. So
And he's like-
we get this like
he's like-
immediate. Yeah, he does. He huffs. He huffs and turns.
Yeah.
But we do start to get this idea that, oh, maybe something's just not quite right.
Yeah, like, something's going down. Something's going down. Are they? I mean, you know.
Yeah, she
And
seems a little stressed.
Then we cut to the big brother in bed, and I think this is adorable.
It is.
So him and the little brother, I don't know the little brother's name,
Sammy. Yep.
talk to each other in their rooms via walkie-talkies. And
Yeah.
the big brother is actually reading him a story
Yeah.
via walkie-talkie. It is a scary story, though.
Yeah, stories from the shadows.
It's called. It's
Yeah.
about the Sandman, who comes and steals your eyes or some
Yeah,
shit. Yeah.
comes and steals children's eyes.
So he's reading him a story that's a little bit too old for him already, but it's still just a bedtime story, kind
Yeah.
of like for a bit older kids. So, but I thought this was adorable, and this really solidified their relationship as two brothers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it seemed like that they actually, the older brother cared for his little brother. Like,
Yeah,
it was,
100%.
and they weren't just actors saying lines. I was like, yeah, this is why I love this film. You know that, and all the scenes are so sharp and shiny. Like they get to the point, and you're like, cool, done.
Yeah.
Then we cut to later that night. So, you know, everyone's gone to bed. Everyone's asleep. Mum wakes up in the night. She's like,
Yeah.
That's why it's noisy, you know, waking up every day.
Not once have I. Okay, maybe a couple of times I've woken up like
Snort.
that. Yeah.
Snort away.
You startle yourself.
You draw.
Yeah.
Well, she wakes up and I think she needs to go to Dunny or something.
Dunny.
The Dunny?
Yep.
Who knows? She gets up. She walks down the hall.
Checks on the kids.
Checks on both the kids.
Yeah.
I just think that's just a thing that parents do. They just get up. If they're ever up, they're like, I might as well look at the kids. I know I look at my baby all the time for no reason. I think, fuck you. No.
Oh, damn.
How dare you be younger than me
Oh,
and more beautiful.
You have youth.
Yeah.
I have nothing.
Yeah.
So she's gone to check on the kids. They seem fine. Nothing to report there. She goes down to the kitchen downstairs to get a glass of water. And she walks in startled to find that the fridge has
Been emptied.
Been emptied. Like the
Onto
fridge
the
is
floor.
open. It's all over the fucking floor. You know, soda's cracked and
Like watermelon's
food's been
eaten down.
eaten,
I
and
noticed.
then the trail is leading out the door. So
It's like a tray. It's like a breadcrumb. It's
Yeah,
like a big,
it's the perfect
It's a
trail.
path of food, basically.
yeah, so they've just been whatever's been in the house has been dropping it behind them, not throwing it around.
No, but it seems like they did it on purpose. Like, it's kind of like a
Yeah.
trail, and it leads to an open sliding back door. And she's like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
The fuck?" Which you would think, like, did someone come into my house and eat all my food?
Yeah, no.
Which
'cause
is not the weirdest thing. Like,
it is really not.
I mean, if you're in Ferryden Park, it's completely normal how most food gets eaten. But like, yeah, if this is an American idyllic suburb,
Yeah.
people just don't walk in and eat your food.
No, not at all. So that's the end of that. Like, cut to the next morning. It's that.
Like, we see her
typical-
like, shut the door,
Oh, yeah.
lock the door,
Lock it.
kind of look out. What the fuck?
Yep.
And then
that's
I'd
it.
be fucking scared too. Hey,
I'd be shitting my pants. I would be calling the police immediately, and they would come in 3 hours, and I would be dead by then.
yeah, true. Anyway, we cut to the next morning.
It's just breakfast.
Yeah, they're kind of like they talk about like maybe an animal came in and and with opposable thumbs it could open a
Yeah,
fridge.
well, the dad kind of suggests that someone didn't lock the door that night. So
Or they think maybe deep down they probably think one of the kids got up and fucked everything up.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
but
they
it's
don't
just-
really care.
Yeah, so
I would have cared.
Yeah,
It's like
but that's
$300
so
worth of-
much food
$300 worth of food down
the drain.
But the dad doesn't care because he has a job interview that morning. He's jazzing up. He's an ex-architect. We find out he's having trouble finding a new job, and
Yeah.
that could be where some of the tension is coming from between
Yes.
him and his dick and vagina life with his wife.
Well, yeah, because he's a stay-at-home dad at this point, and I don't think she's impressed with what he's doing.
And the mum mentions that she's going to sell her house. So you see, she's a real estate agent. What do those people call it? Sell houses. Yeah,
real estate agent.
Like the American Beauty. That was my first. American Beauty was the first kind of like connection with those kind of jobs. Where she's like, today I'm going to sell this, and the stress of it. And I always see people that are in those roles now go, that looks like a fuck job, eh? Like, if your pay relies on you having to sell houses, fuck that shit. Especially if you're just, like, in a bad area. Or a hard area to sell.
Well, that's right. You've got to just start being a bit cunning.
Yeah, because you'd be territorial with, like, where you do shit. And if you've got a big... Like, if you're in an area that has, like, lots of, like, houses selling for big money, you'd be fucking fine. But, if you're on the small side of it, which she kind of is. And housing in America is fucked. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so he goes off to his job interview and we cut to him at his interview and he's going through and he's basically stating like, the guy's sitting there saying, oh, you were let go from your previous project. But he's kind of like, I feel that he was kind of trying but also not. Like he seemed very slumped back and his body language
I thought he felt like he's been defeated.
He was already defeated when he went in.
Yeah, so he blows it.
Yeah.
He blows it. We see him go out afterwards to his car. He grabs his briefcase and smashes it on top of his car a whole bunch. He's angry.
Yeah.
He knows he hasn't got it. He blew it. He blew it. It was his fault.
Yep.
And like it seems to be, and as I said, you get these like underlying messages and story in this film. You just seem to this is a long, list of like a failures that has been happening.
Yeah. It's all happening. It's all fucking up. And of course, this is solidified when the next scene is him sitting at his desk in the house and he's looking at the mortgage overdue.
The money problems. And of course, his wife comes in. How did the interview go? And he's like, he lies to her. He goes, I think it went really good.
Yeah, I have a good feeling about this.
Well, he may have lied, but that's not really a lie. That's just like, I just don't want to talk about it. I have a good feeling. It's fine. Whatever.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, let's be real. Like, any kind of conversation regarding, like, I don't think it's just going to end in an argument. And their marriage seems already like a bit of a...
On a rocky road?
Anyhow,
that's the end of that. Cut to nighttime again. So this is what this film is to me. Every single cut of a new scene, there's going to be something interesting in it. From the moment you see the food eating thing, shit just keeps happening.
Yeah.
And it's indulgent as fuck. You're just like, what's in the next thing? What's going to happen? And something always happens. You never like, there's no red herrings in this film. There's no like, a whole scene that's just devoted to make you think, oh, something's going to happen. And then it doesn't. There's always shit happening in this film. And it's moving on so fast. And I love it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And cut to nighttime.
Yep. So she's checked the door, that the door is locked before she turns off all the lights, heads upstairs. Once again, she checks on the kids and she catches them on the walkie-talkies. And she's like, you are meant to be asleep. Say goodnight. They say goodnight. And then, of course, like, we get this very high-pitched, like, doom static sound. And this is always pops up. This pops up a lot.
Actually, I think... Wasn't there a bit where they're talking on the walkie-talkie and there's this poppy clicking happening? Is that in this bit?
Yeah, there's a little bit of static.
Yeah, like weird static though, like...
Yeah.
Whatever that sound is that is made.
That's predator static.
And now, end of scene.
Yep.
Cut to the night again. Mum she wakes up every night. You know what? I would wake up every night. After I watched this film, I woke up in the middle of the night and had to go to the toilet. But I didn't. I waited till the morning because I was too scared.
I wake up I'm now of that age where I get up maybe 2 times a night to pee.
Oh.
Even though
Did you get scared after you watched this one?
No.
Oh, man. This is my weakness, these abduction films. I was scared. I stayed in bed, uncomfortable, for 2 hours.
That's so bad. Just, your bathroom's right there.
I know.
Just go.
Not even far.
Turn on the lights.
But it was exactly that moment. Like, there's so many scenes where you see the mum wake up.
Yeah.
She gets up. And she gets up. And it's another kind of the same thing. She gets up. I guess she kind of goes down just to see if there's anything wrong.
Yeah. I think you would be at this point, you'd be like, I'm just going to check. I'm just going to check to make sure I'm up. It's fine.
Yeah. So she gets up. She goes downstairs. She turns on the light. And lo and behold, every dishes and jar and everything that's in the kitchen has been painstakingly stacked up into
Yeah.
towers, like, undoable towers. He
Yeah.
couldn't do it, balancing act. And everything is just, from the floor to basically nearly the ceiling. A light has been put underneath it, and the light shining up through all these jars and stuff like that are projecting this, what's the word? Like mathematical symbol.
Yep.
Like triangles and circles onto the roof.
Yep.
Like something you couldn't do.
No.
Not in its curry anyway. Like
No.
you'd be there for days.
Oh, yeah.
And she just looks at it and is like, what the fuck? And I'm like, this is wicked. This reminded me he's a poltergeist at this point.
Yes. Yeah.
So like, without knowing what this film is about, you could be thinking they're dealing with a ghost.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I like. And that's why this is a horror film. Like, it's just like, oh, and this is it. I was hooked. From the first time I seen this bit, I was like, oh, wicked. What's going to happen
Shit's
the
gonna
next
get
night?
serious. Sammy startles her. He's downstairs. He's
got
rubbing his eyes. He's had a bad dream. He kind of sees everything that's stacked.
He just kind of looks at it.
Yeah, he has no reaction or emotion, and she's kind of looking at him, looking at it, going, "Do you know, like,
Did you do this?
what's going on?"
Yeah.
And of course, he blames it on the Sandman.
Yeah, it's the
And she's
Sandman
like-
did it.
He's like, "Well, he did it before he came to my room." And I mean,
He set it up. He says he set it up before he came into my room, and I'm like, oh fuck.
yeah, which is fantastic because we do have this creepy kid vibe. This kid he's adorable, but we know how very quickly kids go from being adorable to I'm going to punch that if that's in my room at 3 a.m. and I wake up and it's staring at me.
Yeah.
Like,
This is the epitome of like the like home invader vibe. That feeling of alien abductions is that half of the scariness of it is that there's someone in your house, in your personal space. And there's no way. They don't come in because they break in. They are there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this film
they're
is.
just there.
Like, how do you keep someone out who just is there?
Yep.
I'm like, I actually like... We'll get into that.
Yep.
So then we cut to the next day.
Yeah.
The cops are there. And they're like,
That's a dilly of a pickle.
But the weird thing is, like, they'd taken it all down before the police got there. I would have left it.
Yeah.
And gone, this was just in my house.
I would be photographing that, and I would be because even if no one
YouTube.
believed me, they'd still be like, "Wow, that's really impressive. Can't believe you did that." I'd be like, "Yeah, look at what I did, but I didn't do it. But I'm going to take credit for that."
But
because
it's this rad cop who he's in all the scenes that they go, and he's just like, yeah, I reckon it could be your kids. I've seen some sleepwalking. Yeah, I've seen a whole bunch of cool sleepwalking. And he's had the sleepwalking story.
He's
about,
like, "Oh, this family I knew, they thought someone was breaking in, and just turns out the daughter was sleep eating.
Yeah.
Sleep eating." But yeah, he runs through
Which also solidifies like what happened the other time with like the food and stuff like that.
stuff. So he runs through the scenario. He's like, there are two scenarios: A, it's somebody with a key, or B, someone is in the house.
Yeah, because like, the doors were locked, no entry are done, and so they both kind of look at the kids and they're like, maybe it is the kids.
Yeah.
Or one of them sleep idiot thing.
Yep.
Sleep idiots.
We don't quite get to the
Well, it's
finger
just so
pointing
unbelievable that they possibly could be. Yeah, but like, even at that point, the cop insinuates it's someone in the house. Maybe one of you guys. Maybe one of your kids is playing a prank. Anyhow.
So we cut to, once again, another cut. Felicity, she's doing the walkthrough with the
Of a
family.
house she's trying to sell.
Yeah. So she's
Pretty
in
shitty house,
this,
actually.
Yeah, it's like the worst house in the best neighborhood.
Yeah,
which is the
it's
house that you want to buy.
Yeah, true. If you want to do it, it's like it's got that trailer trashy vibe of like the wooden walls. And,
I love it. That paneling's back apparently.
Yuck. Just put wood up, not like...
I like the stone look, but...
Stone is very cool. Like
Stone
blue
is
stone,
cool.
anything is amazing. Like,
exactly.
You can get a blue stone in your house, you're done.
But so she's walking through with this family. They're kind of looking, it's a mum, dad, and a little girl. And they kind of know straight out that this is not the best house. And she is working her ass off to convince them. Dad gets a phone call. He has to duck out for a second. And the little girl just starts having an...
Yeah, so it's a mum and a dad and a little girl, yeah.
Yep. And she just starts like...
An asthma attack.
So, the mum immediately grabs her, picks her up, plops her on the counter.
It's a young mum.
Yeah, gives her inhaler, and Felicia stands there and she's just like, "Do you need anything?"
And she just says like it gets
It
better.
gets better.
It gets better over time. The mum
Yeah.
looks at her and like, "What do you mean?" She goes into a story about like you know, how her oldest son had asthma or stuff like that, and you never thought
he was sick a lot as a kid, and now not even a cold, barely gets sick.
Doesn't get sick ever.
Yeah.
Never had a sickness.
No.
And then she kind of confides with that lady. She's like, oh.
Yeah.
And then like, what do you really think of this house? And Felicity's like, I'm too nice, and tells her that it's shit.
She's just like,
you could do better.
You could do better. And I'm like, oh, you were meant to sell the house, but I get why you did that.
Yeah, so like, you know, they both her mum and dad don't do themselves any favour. We like, for people who want money, they keep fucking it up, eh?
Yeah. I just kind of want to state, though, there was in the scene prior when the cop was there.
I was about to say that as well. He mentions
a security system, and he's like, does this work? And the dad mentions, just trying to cut back on a few things, so we just sort of let it lapse.
Yeah, as in like the monitoring. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a security system in the house, but it does not currently work. And the cop mentions maybe you should probably...
Yeah. And then we cut to Daniel now putting the alarm on, meaning that they've spent a bit of money now on this security system because, like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. I'd be lasers and everything.
Oh, man.
Just going off.
So, yeah.
So they're sitting in bed. He's watching Shark Week. She's working away. Shark Week's the best.
Yeah.
She's working away, and he kind of thinks about it for a second. He's like, I think we should cut back on the cable bill. And he kind of, I think that's his very subtle way of sort of, I didn't get the job. We're not going to have any money. And she just turns to him. She's like, why? And he starts explaining, like, I don't think I've got it. And she's like, so you lied to me.
He didn't really lie.
He's like,
he just kind of softened the blow.
Like, oh my God. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
so she fucking gets angry.
She does. And then they start fighting. They start fighting about money. They start fighting about everything. And we like pan into and we cut to the kids. They can hear everything.
And they're talking on the walkie-talkie to each other.
Yeah.
Like,
and Sammy is at that point he's like, do you think Dad's going to leave? Jesse's like, why? No. Why do you think that?
And up to that point, Jesse probably hadn't thought that, but I think that seeds the idea in Jesse's head that he could leave, actually, because like my friends' dads are all separated because of his fucking donkey mates, like got a shit family. So he's like, oh, maybe that can happen. So yeah, there's a bit of like weird depression happening with Jesse.
Yeah, it's really, really getting heavy for that poor kid. You know, poor kid.
Yeah, he's kind of holding his little brother together while the parents argue. Not that they're bad parents.
No, they're doing the best they can given the current situation that they're involved in.
And that kind of fades out again, and then we get another night scene. Everyone's asleep, and of course, whoop, 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 and the fuck that alarm was loud. I was like, if that happened, I wouldn't... my mind would just go to... when I woke up. I wouldn't even know what was going on. Like...
Yeah, I don't jump very often in films. That one made
really?
I jumped because it was so. Because I also
because you knew it was going to happen because it showed the alarm and everything.
But I watched it
with earphones on,
with my very good noise cancelling headphones. So I was like heavily immersed.
So you're getting all the sounds.
I was heavily immersed in this film. So yeah, it kind of made me jump, and then it like burrowed into my brain.
So they run downstairs. They're looking around. Yeah. There's nothing really happening. The alarm's going off. You know, the alarm company calls and like, what the fuck's going on? He turns the alarm off and it goes down, and then they're like, it must have been a malfunction. And he's like, why? And she goes, because...
the phone cuts out as well?
Yeah, the phone actually has that staticky sound on it like that we had before, which is like a little like predator clicking sound on there. But he's still talking to them. And then they go, it must be a malfunction. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, because he goes, which alarm got...
he's like,
which sensor?
What sensor was tripped? And she's just like... all of them. And immediately
at exactly the same time. What? And they're like, that's what I mean. It's
what?
And I'm so interested. I'm like, oh my God.
I'm like, fucking this is intense. And they basically finalize it like with look, you know, it's got to be a malfunction. We will send someone out in the morning to check the system.
Yeah. And now in the morning they get up and they look and the alarm man's there.
No, so before they go back, they turn off the alarm before they get off the phone, before they go back up to bed. Felicity is standing and you just see her staring into the living room.
You see her staring off camera.
Yeah, so where the cop was circling in the morning looking at all the photos.
Of all the kids. When he applied that, you know, you've got kids.
You've got kids.
And they have like a giant kind of, like an entertainment unit. And it's just 100% full of family photos in little frames. Big, like, you know, you're probably looking at like 200 photos of like their whole family.
It's an excessive amount of photos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, they love each other.
Yeah, they do. And we see what she's looking at, and we get this shot.
Oh man, how much did you just want to know what she was looking at? This was such a good shot.
What is happening?
Like, what is it?
And we cut, and it is all of the frames still there in their perfect positions. All of the photos have been taken.
Yeah, so they're empty.
They're done. They're just frames.
And I'm like, oh man, that is it's cool because it's something like you could do. Like, you know, it's not necessarily a monster or an alien or a ghost doing that.
No, I mean, why would anything do that? Like, what is the... I would also personally just not notice. That is not something I would notice.
Yeah. Oh, you might. If there's that many.
That is a lot.
Yeah. Anyhow, all their photos. And the weird thing is as well that they were all in exactly the right spots. It wasn't as though they were opened and left. Like someone had stolen them. Someone had taken them out and put them all exactly back to where they had to be.
Yep.
Like, as in just fucking with them.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. Cut to the next morning. The same cop's there.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, I'm back again. We also have the alarm man's there, like fixing the alarm because they're like, you know, what the fuck's going on?
He's
The
there.
cop's just like, you know, he's just like, oh, you know.
You've got kids. He's like, it's, you know, do you guys... Then he starts sort of prying more into the family. Like, do you guys fight a lot? Is everything okay at home? Because if you're not okay, like, your kids are going to be experiencing some kind of emotional trauma, and then they're going to be acting out, like playing pranks and taking photos from photo frames and hiding them. And then, of course, like, you know, the dad starts, he's like, no, my kids are good kids. Like, they wouldn't do that. And, of course, as he's saying this, the security guy comes in and he's just like, there's nothing wrong with the system.
Yeah.
Which makes the cop basically just turn around and give him the, not your kids, you say.
You know, there's nothing wrong with the system. It must have been tripped from the inside by someone getting up or something. And they're like, oh, well, this makes sense because if they got up and did the things, which is great. Great writing. Like, you're just like, I'm it could go either way.
Yeah. So now we cut to it's family talk time. So, you know, Jesse and Jesse and Sammy are sitting on one couch, and you've got the parents on the other couch, and they're asking, you know, was it you?
Yeah, they say to the older brother, he's like, no,
why would I do that?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm out stealing cars like a regular teen.
I'm out swinging out of trees and chewing gum.
And then sort of Felicity just sort of turns to Sammy, and he's sitting there very quiet the whole time, and she's like,
who's the little brother? Yeah.
Was it Sandman? Was it the Sandman? And Sammy just turns around and he's like, he told me not to say.
He goes, he won't let me tell. He won't let me.
Yeah. So meanwhile, like, the dad's looking at Felicity being like,
what the fuck?
What is...
Because he hasn't, like,
this?
encountered the idea of the Sandman yet.
No, and she's not mentioned it. So we cut straight to Dad.
And then Dad's like, what the fuck's going on? He just goes crazy.
He does, and he starts tearing up Sammy's room.
Yeah, as in the little kid's room. So Sammy and Jesse are in Jesse's room, and they can hear this all going on. And the dad's just looking for shit. What is he? He's looking for the photos.
He's looking for the photos. So he's basically pulling everything out. And, I mean, him and
he's
Felicity...
basically betraying the trust of his kids.
Yeah, and this kid is like, what, 6? And, you know, him and Felicity, they are fighting this whole time. And he's like, why wouldn't you tell me? And she's like, I didn't think that it was important at this time.
Yeah, when you're talking about Sandman, which, as she said, it didn't seem important because it was a kid. Yeah. Yeah,
and at this time, like, Jesse's like, look, just give the pictures back. Like, what's the problem? You know, they're having this, like...
Jesse's saying to his brother, like, even he thinks he's done it.
Yeah. So it's just a standard brotherly talk. And then I think from there they start fighting. Like, Felicity says that she wants to send Sammy to a shrink.
Yeah, and he's just like, because he knows he can't afford it.
Yeah.
As well. And he's just, because in America there's no, you know, health system or anything like that to help that shit out.
Yeah, you can't afford that. You can't afford your cable bill. You certainly can't afford to go to a therapist.
Yeah, you can't even afford to get, you know, go to the doctor for a cold.
No.
And so, yeah, they're like...
they start fighting about money.
It's fighting. And it's kind of end of scene, you know. It ends in, like, Debbie Downer.
Well, this whole time, what we don't realise is the whole time they are fighting, he's scratching behind his neck. He's having a good old scratch. Like,
yeah, he's got, like, a nervous scratch where he's just like...
And she's just kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like,
I got a bite.
It's like a bug bite.
Bug. Rash.
I've got a rash.
Leave me alone.
I've got a boo-boo.
I've got boo-boo bug bite back of ear. Boo-boo bug bite. That's what he said.
So we cut to...
End of scene.
End of scene.
New day.
It's the next day. They're at the park.
The playground.
Yeah. So Dad's taken Sammy to the park and he's caught up with the Ginger's dad, I think.
Yeah, the other family friend's dad.
And they're, the kids are off playing and they're having a bit of a chat. And he's like, oh, mate, you look a little bit rough around the edges there. Everything all right at home? Like, I heard that you're going to be... Because, of course,
it's all gossip.
News travels very fast.
Yeah. Anyone who's not perfect, like on the outside,
Yep.
news travels fast. That's what they're really implying in this neighborhood as well.
So they're like, is everything okay at home? Like, Sammy, you're going to take Sammy to a shrink? And he's like, he's fine. It's fine. No, we don't need to do
Yeah, even the other
anything
dad's like, maybe you should take him to a shrink. Like,
and as they start, like, talking and him like, no, Sammy's fine. There's nothing wrong with Sammy. All we hear is these kids just start laughing. And they are, like, laughing. And
and then it shows Sammy and he's peed his pants. Yeah. Like, he's peeing his pants.
Yeah.
But he ain't moving. No, he don't care. He's just peeing.
Frozen in the spot. He's just staring into the abyss and that's it.
And so Dad walks up and he's like, Sammy.
He's like, if you needed to go to the bathroom, you should have just said, mate. Like, he's trying to make light of it. Like, because this kid, any kid who's peed his pants is going to feel super embarrassed if this is something that's happened. But he's not
just
fucking
like
moved.
Dead, stunned, looking forward, eyes not moving, eyes open. And the dad's just like, are you okay? Hey, Sammy. And then basically Sammy just kind of like just opens his mouth and just starts screaming.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's that like high pitched like kid squeal as well.
And he's like, oh my fucking God, what are you doing, kid?
Yeah.
So this more solidifies in like, of what's happening to them to everyone else. They're like, oh.
Yep.
Something weird's going on with this family. He's in a trance, you could say.
Yes. We cut to Felicity. She's at home. She's on the phone to the dad and she's like, is he okay? Like, what's happened? They finish up their conversation. She's walking around the boys' bedrooms, picking up washing, standard washing day.
She's also kind of cleaning up after the dad had just tore the kids' room apart, I think.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And then as she's picking up something off the floor, she finds a picture that Sammy has drawn.
Crayon vibes.
And it's him and a very tall being. It's like
Is it one?
the Sandman. It's just one.
Yeah, a big, in grey pencil, elongated man, I wrote.
Yep.
And she's like, not that weird.
No.
Why would you think that was weird?
Kids...
He's just shit at drawing.
Kids draw the darndest things.
Oh, and they have the stupidest, spatial vibes. Like, I've seen some kids' drawings, and the fingers were way too long. I'm like, you're an idiot.
Salad fingers, that is.
Yeah, exactly. Rusty spoons. Anyhow, she's in the room. She's like, drawings. Weird.
Strange. Peculiar.
And then there's a boonk.
Yep.
Oh, I can't do it.
Thunk.
Thunk. A thump on the window. She's like,
oh.
Who there?
Who there?
Who dis? New phone. New house.
New house. Who dis?
Anyhow, and she walks over to the window and she's looking at, what was that? And she sees, and she looks down and says, oh, a bird hit the window. She's like, oh, poor idiot bird.
Yeah, oh, sad bird.
Which happens all the time.
Still twitching on the roof. That's a bit
strange.
strange.
Bit of a CG bird. No, it was a puppet, I think. It was a weird little puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
Anyhow, she's like, and then all of a sudden, boonk, another one.
Yeah.
And then, boonk.
The glass cracks a little bit. And
she's like, oh.
And every time
she has a little scream, ah!
It's like there's blood splats on the window as well, which is just equal.
And then all of a sudden, hundreds of thousands of birds just start hitting into all the windows, into the room,
just hitting the house
everywhere.
Inches, like everywhere.
They're flying.
Yeah.
As in flying, as in fast.
Yeah.
They're hitting so fast, they're like splat blooding on the thing.
Yeah.
And there's, and it's like, she's in kind of, the kid's room he's in like the attic, so he's got like a skylight as well. They're hitting into the skylight, they're hitting it into one window, and they're hitting into another window. So from 3 directions, they're hitting the room. Anyhow, hard cut to like the aftermath. The whole house is covered in dead birds and
it's like blood just
everywhere.
Blood spots everywhere.
There's a biohazard crew there because as in like a disease control, because they think, there must be
it's like avian flu, that kind of thing.
Yeah, bird flu.
Yep, bird flu.
Of course, all the neighbours are outside, so it's just getting weirder. They're turning into the weird dickheads on the street,
which is not good. And of course, like they can see the neighbors staring. And, of course, if neighbors are staring, neighbors are talking.
Yeah, and
You don't want that.
we have the expert lady about the birds. She's talking to the dad.
Yeah, she's talking to the dad.
It could have been, they might have had, we have to nail down, it might have been
it could have
disease.
been a lightning storm, hailstorm,
Could
all
have
these
scared
things.
them.
Who knows?
Weird, things happen like this. Not very often, but this happened before.
It's like it has happened before, but it's...
A swarm of birds. They think it's a migration.
Yeah.
A migration of birds, and they just all hit into the house accidentally because of radio signals might have fucked them up or something weird. Yeah. They're like, it could be anything. It is weird, they say, but it could be something. It's probably explainable.
So they're basically like, we're going to run some tests. We'll let you know. It's fine. Meanwhile, Jesse's sitting in the backyard and his Darrow mate is kicking the bird corpses and...
Yeah, jumping on the trampoline with dead birds and stuff like that. Oh, donkey mate.
Being gross. And he's like, oh, you're going to have to quarantine, mate. You guys are fucked.
And he's like, you're touching them as well.
You're touching the birds. You've picked it up. You've stuck it in your pants. It's fine.
And then that's kind of it. And then we cut to the mum and dad talking to Sammy about the park incident.
Yeah.
About him screaming and pissing his pants. And he can't remember.
Yeah.
He's just like, I was at the park and then I wasn't.
Now
Is that what
I'm playing with my GoBots.
Yeah. He goes, I actually wrote the quote. I went to play with the other kids and then I wasn't there anymore. Oh. That was his quote. And you're like, you.
Oh.
And at this point in the film, you don't know what the point of... What is the center point of the horror of this film? You don't know. Is it the kid? Is it the house? Is it, you know what I mean? It's kind of confusing. It's going in diagonals. Is it the house affecting everything? Is it just a ghost?
Yep.
Is it, you don't know.
What is happening?
Yeah.
What is happening in this house?
It's great. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
At this point, they're like,
yeah, we're just going to call the therapist.
Yeah, let's call the therapist and say, even if we can't afford it,
we'll just eat
the dad's
beans.
like, we will do this. There's something wrong.
We are eating beans for the next month.
Yeah. Anyhow, beautiful. Next exciting. Mum, cut to nighttime. Mum wakes up in the middle of the night again. And I'm like, yes.
Yep.
I was just so excited for
You're like, oh my God, yes.
Something's going to happen.
Wait, there's another piece of the puzzle.
She walks down the hall again.
Yep.
She can hear the kids once again in the middle of the night talking on their walkie-talkies.
Yeah, so she goes downstairs, she turns on the lights, checks everything.
Nothing's
seems
there.
fine.
It's fine.
It's great. Not a problem.
Thank God.
All is well. Back up the stairs. You know what? I will check the kids.
But she can hear the little radio, can't she?
I don't think she can. I don't know.
Maybe this is another night.
Maybe.
Yeah, she goes to check on the kids. She goes into Sammy's room. She opens the door and fuck off. There's a fucking shit fucker. There's a fucking thing standing over Sammy's feet in the dark.
Big.
It's a shadow.
Huge.
It's lurched over.
Yep.
It looks around as in startled. She's like, oh fuck dicks. She turns on the light switch and the instant she turns on the light, it's just not there.
It's gone.
It's like, what?
It's gone.
Was it a shadow? Because it's kind of you can't...
Well, I like...
Was it her playing? It could have been, when it's dark and you see something and your mind creates what it is.
Yeah, and what I like very much about this is because we're not quite revealed as to what it is. It could have been anything, and because it does look like a dark shadow, you're like... Well, your mind goes to shadow people and sleep paralysis, which if you go far enough down the Google...
Yeah, the rabbit hole.
It's shadow people...
Yeah.
Extraterrestrial beings. They kind of go a little hand in hand.
I kind of wish this film wasn't called Dark Skies. It could have been called something else where the whole, up until this point in the film, it could have been a haunting.
Yeah.
And this still could have been a haunting. It could have been a ghost because it disappears.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Completely gone.
And you're like, oh, wait, what, they can disappear? What's going on here?
This is peculiar.
Yeah, she did. I've written in my notes, she did hear them talking on the walkie-talkie.
Okay.
So that's why she walks in. She was about to say, boys, go to sleep. So she was already saying that as she walked in. And that's what startled this thing to look around. And I was like, I wrote, get fucked in my notes. This was a great moment.
It was a fantastic moment in this.
And the best thing is, it's kind of out of focus. That's the other thing as well. There's no big reveals in this movie.
No.
And, spoiler, as in reveals that fuck up the story. Signs. Signs was going great until they showed the aliens. And then I was like, And then, you know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like, the best thing sometimes, they show it on the footage of the news, and you see it a little bit.
Yeah.
This is what that whole film is. It's a little bit, and it's just enough.
It's just the tip.
Because they still do show them, but they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right. It's great.
It's so good.
Yeah.
As she slipped on the latch, Sam is no longer in his bed either.
Oh, yeah, Sam's gone.
He's gone.
She's like, what the fuck is he? Looking through, you're like, so she yells.
They go running down the stairs, like Dad's trailing behind. The door is open.
The back door, the sliding door.
And he's just like, he's looking around the house for Sammy. As he's standing there and we get this shot of him standing.
Does the alarm go off when they go down as well?
The alarm does
so he
go
turns off the alarm because the alarm goes off when they go down. So nothing triggered the alarm.
No, so Sammy... we
see Sammy.
The dad's standing, he's like looking around the house, and we outside through the window we see Sammy like
in the backyard.
He's in the backyard, like shirtless or naked. I don't know what's up with him.
He's just like he was just sleeping in tracky pants.
So he's walking, and of course the dad he just goes running
and
out.
He's in trance mode as well. He's like looking forward, like not at anything. He's just sleepwalking, basically.
Yeah.
He's sleepwalking.
He's having a wander.
And the dad grabs him, gets in front of him, and shakes him, and he's like,
yeah.
And so and he looks at the dad, and he's just like, why are we outside?
Yeah.
And it was just very well. And then the kids are like, all the dialogue from the kids is delivered beautifully in this film.
Yeah, they're all very well. All very good.
Yeah.
And it just, so she starts...
Because she's the only one that sees this.
So she's the only one that has seen whatever entity is currently in their house. So we've now cut to, like, obviously Sammy's gone back to bed. They're talking, and she's trying to explain what she saw, and he's just having none of it.
Why would you? We live in reality.
I feel that his mind is so shut off, and he's so terrified by this. He just cannot fathom it. He's just like, no.
Well, she's just like, I went in there. And there was someone in the room, like standing over the bed.
And he was in there.
But you were in there.
And Sammy
the window
wasn't.
was locked and Sammy wasn't in there. And you turn the light on. Where did he go? And she's like, he just wasn't there.
Yeah.
They weren't there. And so it's like, but that doesn't make sense.
Oh,
Which, do you know what it doesn't? It doesn't make sense.
No,
you're right.
It doesn't.
It was only as I'm talking about this film, there's some more bits that are clicking into place of how that shit worked. They don't actually disappear, do they? No, yeah, right.
So this whole time that they're having a bit of an argue, like he's still scratching his neck, and he checks in the bathroom.
And we see it's like a rash. It's like a whole bunch of bug bites on his...
Yeah, so he pulls out like a hand mirror, and we get this like, it seems like
gross.
He's just got some eczema behind his ear. Like, man, it
doesn't look that bad.
It's not that bad.
But it's still gross.
Yeah.
No one wants that. And it could be a stress itch as well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get...
We all get stress eczema.
Yeah, and I get like, when I get too stressed, I start to pull the... What's this thing? The quick on my nails back without thinking. And I pull them down with my other nails and they hurt. Yeah.
I pull out my eyebrows.
Well, yeah.
When I get anxious.
I've got a fun fact.
Yep.
Once when I was in hospital when I was younger because I was sick, I was on a boatload of drugs for being like, stuffed up. My kidneys were stuffed up as a little kid. And I pulled one of my eyelashes out. And I thought, that's cool. And then spent the rest of the night pulling every one of my eyelashes out and collecting them, all of them. And then the nurse came in the next morning. She was like, what have you done? Because I had no eyelashes. Not eyebrows, lashes. Drugs, man. They do weird things to kids.
I hate that sound as well because, like, no.
Fun fact.
So gross.
Fun fact, Dan grew up as an idiot. Anyhow.
Cut to next day.
Cut to the older brother.
Yep.
Jesse, he has stolen his...
He's at the house.
So he has stolen his mum's keys of the home she is trying to sell, the dodgy kind of one. Yeah. And he's like, you know what? I got some keys to a house. Let's go over, hang out. So we got donkey mates that he rocks up. So they kind of got this house to themselves. So they can do whatever they want and be bad kids. And also donkey mate brings in 2 Sheilas.
Yeah. He's like, I brought the women.
I got the freaks.
Yeah.
I bought the freaks. And yeah, so he brings in some rando girl and also the redhead girl who was making fuck eyes at Jesse at the barbecue.
13-year-old fuck eyes. This kid,
they pair off.
Donkey kid, he pulls out a bong, a terribly sized bong, and just the smallest
like a
amount
Mary
of
Poppins
weed.
bong. Like you
Yeah.
have to have her bag and pull it out.
Pretty
like, you know,
much.
it's like 10 foot tall.
It's like, and then just the smallest amount of weed humanly possible.
Well, that when you're young, you only have little bits amounts of
That's
weed.
true.
You make what you can do. You even smoke resin.
Oh,
So I've heard
Yeah,
on the
no.
one time I smoked marijuana as lettuce.
yep. So yeah, they've paired off. Jesse's in the kitchen. So he's in the kitchen with the ginger from the barbecue.
Yeah,
and
she's all like, "Yo, lembon jungle."
Yep, and
So she's making kind of body language advances. Anyway, she's interested in him.
Yeah.
He's a cool looking kid.
Yeah.
Looks like a Lego.
I think he does not understand that she's doing that because I feel
Yeah,
that
he really doesn't understand
He doesn't
social
know what's
cues.
going on. No.
And they really emphasize this here because he reaches that. No,
he says like you cannot tell your mum about this because like her mum is best friends with his mum and no one wants to get into trouble.
Oh yeah, as in like about the house, us being here. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's just like, oh, you can't tell your mum, and she's like, well, what do you do? What are you going to do if I do tell her?
And he's like, oh, social cue that she wants me to kiss her. Think back. What's my only social cue? Porno.
Yep.
And so he says, you've been a naughty girl and just honks her boob.
reaches out and honks.
she's like, what the fuck?
Yep. And like any other girl, I mean, if this was made now, she would punch him in the dick.
I don't know.
and
Like,
leave.
she likes him, but then she realizes from his reaction, he goes real awkward. He looks down. He won't like,
Yeah.
and she's like, hang on, have you never been with a girl before? And she realizes that he wasn't being creepy. He just doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And she's like, you've never kissed a girl? And he's like, no.
No, so she's like, okay, close your eyes and pucker your lips, and then she gives him the littlest
She gives him a
little
little
peck
peck
on the
thing.
lips
And then
ever.
And then it hard cut to him riding home on his BMX. Best time of his life. It's got this hilarious, happy music
It
going.
does.
He's on his BMX. He's done it.
So but he's also like high as fuck as well. You can see it in his face. He's just like,
oh yeah, I forgot about the bomb.
he's very like euphoric. So it's like he's equally high as fuck from smoking the smallest amount of weed ever, but also I've like totally made it with a girl.
Yeah,
so
I have
he's
done it.
he's living his best
I'm
life.
at the pinnacle of childhood. It was a great scene.
I mean, he's felt a boob. He's kissed a girl. Like
Dude, he kissed a girl, he felt a boob, and he smoked a weed.
that sounds like a pretty good Friday night.
Had
to
a
me.
pine needle. But yeah. Anyhow, we cut to Dad, and he has set up a full wicked ghost catching surveillance system in the house.
It is now Paranormal Activity.
I love it.
Yeah.
I thought of Poltergeist straight away when they set up all the gear. And you know what? I love the gear setup.
Yeah.
I love the camera. And this adds this whole, paranormal. It actually feels like paranormal. I was going to say paranormal electricity.
Yep.
Paranormal what's it called? Activity.
Yep.
But you get everything that Paranormal Activity had in it. You get in these couple of scenes as
Yes.
much as the whole film gave you.
Yeah.
So
I think we get more out of this than we did Paranormal Activity.
yeah, so
It's
so
overrated.
So there is he has a monitor and there is a fucking camera in every room
Yep.
of the house, every bedroom, downstairs and stuff like that. And yeah, so except for
everywhere.
the halls, you don't have it in the hallways. And he's like, I'm sick of this. I'm gonna see what is happening in our house. What are these wacky situations?
Exactly. The Scooby Gang is on the case.
But he's shit at it and he falls asleep straight away.
Yeah. So we get this like the kids are now talking. They're having like a walkie-talkie conversation, and Sammy he's like, I'm kind of scared about this, and Jesse's kind of reassuring him. He's like, he's like, is Dad watching us? He's like, no, well, he's watching us to keep us safe because something weird is going on. Like, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, the kid is really suppressing like emotions, and you get that the whole time. He's just like, he's going to be a school shooter when he grows up. You know what I mean? Like, I got that from it.
Yeah.
Especially when you got a friend like fucking Donkey Mate.
Oh my God.
Anyhow.
I like this next scene because I don't know if you noticed. So this scene is like we get a scene of the front of the house, the front door, and we get a pan up. So as if something is coming up to the front door. And then it is immediately like this shunk. And we're on the other side of the door. There's not a cut. It's just like it's like we've been transported.
Movie magic.
It's movie magic. We are now on the other side of the door, and we.
Yeah, it's like a dolly shot that moves through matter.
Yeah, But as it does, like you get this shunk, and then we see the dad, and he's like in his study asleep with the cameras.
Yeah, so he's blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's recording it. He was just interested in
He's
this
recording.
fella's
It's
sleep.
fine. And then we get this pan up the stairs, and it's
It's not
we see
that
like
menacing though. It's just kind of a setting the scene that everything's quiet, but it is menacing.
True. Because like everything is all is well, everyone's asleep, nothing sinister. But I think I like just the way that it came up through into the house. There was nothing to it. It was just 1 minute we're on this side of the door, the next minute we're on that side of the door.
Yeah, as if, yeah. And I, if anything, it's even if it's not the things,
the entities
or ghosts, it is just like it's adding to the vibe of this is a possible scenario of how it might be happening.
It can just be there.
Yeah, it's just saying it doesn't matter. Doors.
I don't need doors.
Yeah.
I have grown beyond doors.
Yeah, Jim Morrison's doesn't scare them.
Oh god.
Anyhow, Dad wakes up in the morning and he's like off his computer.
Yep.
And he's like, oh yeah. So he kind of like skips through the surveillance camera of the night before. He sees a little bit of a flicker and he's like, what the fuck? He goes into that bit and he sees like a kind of an interference, a static. The camera goes for a second. Then the next camera of the next room goes, then the next room. So there's like, it's as if like it's this static feedback signal, a fuck up or a glitch is moving through each camera, each room, like so
it's
in
moving
order.
From room to room.
Yeah. And he's like,
Yeah. What?
He does find it a bit perplexing.
He does, because if you look at the timestamp between... So while all this is happening, so when it started happening, it was 2:31. When it stopped happening, it was 3:05. So there was like an immediate time jump while each room surged, and then all of a sudden, 3:05.
Oh, so that the camera stopped like kind of in that. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
So we were like, so the cameras must have like stopped working for how long was it? Like an hour?
Like
2 hours?
No, it's like half an hour.
Oh, half an hour. Okay, cool.
Less than half an hour.
And he's like, my cameras.
Yeah.
It doesn't really bother him that much. It does bother him, but like he doesn't think it's a problem. He just thinks the cameras are like a bit glitchy.
Yeah.
But
So then it's literally the next day. Felicity's back in the house. She's got another couple.
That donkey house where the kid was partying. She's got another couple of suckers.
Everyone's in there like, oh, it smells like weed.
Did they say that?
No, they didn't. I was kind of waiting for it because I'm sure as shit no kid is going to come in and be like, let's smoke a bunch of stuff, have a bit of a party, and then clean up. No, that house would have been slightly trashed.
Then again, they were smoking weed and they would have got paranoid.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyhow, so the mum's like, she's hard selling it now. She ain't like, she starts like doing the lies where usually she'd tell the truth. She's just like, nah, this is wicked, this house. I'm fucking sick of this house. And then all of a sudden, she glitches.
Yep.
She freezes.
It's also 9:15 in the morning. She checks her phone as they've walked in.
Oh,
it's
like
9.
It's the first inspection.
9:15.
So she starts, it's not that she stops freezing. She starts to glitch talking like I was just then. She's like, it's like at first it's like she's just stuttering, and then it's just like she can't talk, and then she's like her hands start kind of convulsing by her sides, and then she just freezes.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hello?
It's like, are you okay?
Are you okay?" And she's
on?
in that same kind of vibe that the kid was, like just frozen.
She kind of sees it's a little like she's kind of got this like movement to her where she's like her body's starting to shake a little bit.
A bit of a seizure. She pivots on the spot like a toy soldier. Walks straight over to the sliding door and then just starts smashing her head against the door. And I was like, ugh.
That's odd.
And very hard. And then all of a sudden, bang, she wakes up. It was just a dream.
Oh, that's good. I'm
and
so glad.
I was like, oh man, how was she going to explain that?
Like that's a nasty dream.
Anyway, she
checks her face. She goes into the bathroom. She splashes some water on her face, and she's like,
because it's the morning still, because the light's all blue and that.
Yeah. So she sort of checks, and she's like,
oh, what's this on my head?
And we check, and she lifts up her hairline, and you see just on her hairline, like it's this big, like welt, kind of
thing from smashing your head into a thing, and then nope. And then she checks her phone, and it's not morning. It's actually
like 3:15 or something.
It's like night. It's getting nighttime.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "Where the fuck?"
And the phone rings, and it's her boss. He's like, "What the fuck happened today?" He's
they said you had like some sort of fit or a seizure.
Like
the clients they went,
and she's just like, I mean, I'm guessing that she's also her career's in a bit of a hot spot at the moment.
She really needed to sell that house.
She needed to sell that house, and he's, the guy's just like, look. you need to take a break. She's like, no, I'm fine. He's like, I'm not asking, I'm telling. You need to take a break. You need to sort your shit out. And then he sort of followed it up with, he just called her kiddo. And I'm like, I think that's kind of endearing, but also don't fucking call
But patronising to a staff member, kiddo. You don't like that? Don't you call your staff members kiddo?
I don't.
What's up, kiddo? Like Beatrix kiddo?
No, or you do your job.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or you. Yeah, she lost a day. Yeah, I think that then while this is all happening, she's trying to get her shit together. The bird lady calls her back. The person who was investigating her bird problem, which I'd forgotten about until this point in the movie.
Until this very moment, we did not know.
Yeah, the birds. Like, what's happening with the birds? And she says, now this is a bit weird.
This is strange.
It wasn't a migration of birds. It was 3 migrations of birds coming from 3 different directions that all honed in on your house and hit it. And then she's like, what does that mean? And they're like,
I don't
know. There ain't no way.
She's
that
like,
could have
there was nothing wrong with them. There was no sign of avian flu, nothing. And then she starts sort of,
and then we get, she's just like, okay, cool. And then she's like, she gets on the fucking internet.
Yep.
And then she starts Googling.
We get the good old Google research montage.
Yeah,
she's printing out documents. She's
Googling
Googling
up
away.
birds. She's like, her birds trails into conspiracy theories. The conspiracy theories trail into "Are you being visited?" Websites. It trails into kids' drawings that are very similar to her own kids' drawings, and then she's in the rabbit hole. She's in the worm.
Yep.
She's going deep. She's getting closer and closer, going down and down. She starts seeing websites that are very similar to, are these things happening to you? And it's like, bomb, bomb, bomb.
She's now an anti-vaxxer.
Anyhow, we cut to Daniel. He's at another job interview. And guess what? He gets it.
Well done, Slacker. He got
gets
the job.
it. The dude doesn't... He gets it because he doesn't even have to have an interview. The dude's just like, I really liked your work. Yeah, we'll hire you.
It's like, do you want a job? Like...
And he's like,
okay.
He's like, what? Me? An architect?
Job?
Sure. Anyhow, he gets a job.
He's excited. He goes home with the best news ever.
It cuts to him riding his BMX down the road. No, it doesn't do that.
That would have been so good.
Yeah, like...
So he walks through the door and he's like, honey, I got great news.
I got champagne, I got a dick, and I got a job.
Like,
and she's like, we should fuck.
There's 4 things I got right here. I've got flowers, I've got champagne, I got a dick, and I got a job.
And she's like, whoa, I'm opening Moist for business.
He's like, we're getting drive-through and we're doing it twice.
Yeah.
Get the kids out of the house.
Anyhow.
We get this weird sexy time scene where they're kind of sitting under the covers giggling and
I didn't understand how you have sex like that, but it's fine.
No.
Anyhow,
each to their own.
Anyhow, cut to mum waking up in the middle of the night. I'm like, yes.
You're so excited. You're like, fuck yes,
something else is gonna happen, and it does,
because dad is gone.
Dad,
he's not in the bed anymore.
He's like, where dad?
Dad is gone.
Where dad? New bed.
He's gone out for a pack of cigarettes.
Nah, she walks downstairs and she sees him standing in the backyard, just straight up like a toy soldier.
All of the neighborhood dogs as well are fucking going off. All of the neighborhood dogs, they're all just like... Bruh, 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 bruh.
And then he's in the same spot basically where the little baby brother was when he was outside. And he's just standing there. And she runs, she's like, what are you doing? Hey. And she walks up to him and he's just standing. This was like kind of shocking.
Yeah.
It reminded me of The Ring.
Yeah.
Like, because he's standing there and all he's doing is standing there staring, but his mouth is as wide open as a person's mouth can possibly be. Like a big...
Yeah. It is open.
It looks weird, hey?
Yeah.
It looks so like he is being forced to open his mouth. Like there's something in there, but it's not. And it's just like, looks so uncomfortable. And I was like, goo. Even though it's just... You can imagine it happening. If that happened to you, you'd see that and it would be imprinted in your mind.
I just feel like, no.
Yeah,
no.
And that's all he is. He's just standing with his mouth open and then she's like, hey. He looks at her.
Oh,
so
because he's like, his mouth is still open and he just like turns.
He turns and looks at it with his mouth still wide open and then blood just pours out of both nostrils and like...
Yep.
And then he walks, he once again, he toy soldiers around on the spot, slowly walks inside... And he's got all the blood down his front and she follows him in and then he walks over to like a window and then kind of regains consciousness and he's like, what am I doing downstairs?
Yeah, he's like, why am I in the kitchen?
That was it. And so
That scene is...
You like that one?
It's an intense scene as well because, once again...
well, she's alone without him.
Yeah.
As well. Like,
yeah.
And if something's happening to him. So now something has happened to the brother, the little brother, the mum, and the dad, but not the little kid.
Yeah.
Oh no, he had the Wii incident. Yeah. So something has happened to all of them. So you're like, is this about them? Is it the house now?
Yeah, something's happening.
Because there ain't no like more. We haven't seen any of these shadowy men again. So we're like, okay.
So he's gone off and he starts reviewing the tapes. And she's like,
Yeah,
okay.
she watches
she's
him-
like,
he-
okay. So now for my news. She's like, I lost 6 hours today.
And he's
And
like,
I got a bump on the noggin. And she shows him the bump. And she immediately pulls out all of her like Google printouts. And starts talking about, the birds hitting our house. It could have been geometric fields. It could have been weapons testing. Or
it could have been
but
aliens. Like that guy
aliens.
on the internet. Aliens.
Aliens. She's like, there are other reports. Kids from across the globe have drawn pictures exactly like what Sammy has drawn. She's showing them.
No. It wasn't just... Is that where she pulls out the actual picture?
Yeah.
Like, she goes, this was drawn by a kid the day he disappeared.
Yeah.
And it is a picture of
it's like almost...
It's 3 grey aliens holding the hand of a little kid with a house with a whole bunch of dead birds at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and he goes, this is what our son drew like 2 days ago. And it's the exact picture. But done a little bit different. And he took his own artistic flair into it. He's like, I'm not going to be a copy
He's
painter.
homaging.
Yeah, he goes, I'm going to give it a bit more oomph.
Yeah.
A bit more colour.
Yeah.
It's basically the same picture, like proportions, everything. And to me, that would have convinced me. I would really like, but I'm very unconvinced very easily.
Yeah.
I want to believe. Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
But Dad is not. He's
in
not
denial
convinced.
mode,
He's like,
'cause,
nah, it's not that.
Because number one, he hasn't. All he's seen is just a bunch of like basic people having seizures.
Yeah.
And him and that.
And all of that
birds
is
flying
very
into the house.
logically explained.
Except for the birds.
Except for the birds.
She also reveals about the birds being like from 3 different flight patterns and stuff like that.
So
in the house.
she's because she's like, this doesn't happen very often, but every time it has happened, it's been linked to disappearances. Blah 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 blah.
And then we're like, the thing where she re-emphasizes this is before he disappeared. And we're like, oh shit.
This isn't good. It's pool time. It's the next day. Everybody is at the community
first of all,
pool.
she also mentions in that scene, she's like, I think we should see an expert.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, sure, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's not into some crackpot fucking tinfoil hat expert for this bullshit. He's just like, nah, we'll solve this, even though we're fucking got...
He'll be right.
Yeah, we'll be right.
He'll
He's
be right.
in denial, which is fair enough.
Yep. No, well, I mean, you would
No
be.
one acted irrationally in this film. Even though everyone acted irrationally, but everything they did, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you
very-
wouldn't... Like,
very much
there'd be
so.
just, like, you just wouldn't believe it.
Because I think
Especially if you hadn't seen that figure.
Well, yeah. Well, I think as well as like the whole time you're doing this, so things are starting to fall apart, but you've still got to they're still trying to maintain this like suburban image for the neighbors.
Yeah.
But
And-
obviously the neighbors have all picked up on now this is the weird
Because the
house.
dad's now got a job and shit, so he might be actually feeling a bit better in himself. So
Yeah.
he's just like, no, nothing's going to fuck this shit up. I just got a job. I'm happy. We had sex.
Yeah. Yeah. We had sex.
We had
Everything
the
is
sex.
fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Let's have sex again, quick. So then we cut to the pool.
Yep. It's like a community pool. All the neighbors are there.
But it's like, but it's... The parents aren't there. It's like the family friends and their family's there, and they have Sammy there.
Sammy.
So they are kind of not babysitting, but you take your friends' kids to the pool and stuff like that.
Of course. We're taking our kids, we'll take your kid, then you can stay home and have sex.
We'll lend you our kids later or something like that. And so Sammy and Jesse are there as well, aren't they?
Jesse is not there, but
No.
Sammy is there with the little ginger girl.
Yeah.
So the little boy that is around the same age as Sammy, he goes off into the pool. Sammy's standing there. He got his shirt on. He doesn't want to go on. She's like, hey, String Bean, take your shirt off.
This is a little redhead girl.
You can't go swimming in a shirt. And she goes
Well, you can because you're supposed to.
That's what I do.
Well, it's sun smart.
Exactly.
Bloody idiot. That's why she's a ginger.
Yeah, and she's covered in freckles too.
Oh, my
All
God.
of those souls taken. So she goes to take off his shirt, and we immediately see
she lifts it a little bit.
Purple bruising.
They look like finger marks.
They really do.
And she's like,
yep.
And then she's like, the mum comes down. She saw it as well.
Yeah.
And mum's like, Sammy, take your shirt off.
Yep.
And he goes silent.
This is not even in like we're just going to take him to a little corner. No, we're going to do this in the middle of this area.
She probably thought it wasn't much. She saw a little bit. She might have thought he'd just fallen over. And she lifts his shirt up probably to his nipples, and his whole body is just a gigantic bruise.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little finger marks of like, you'd have to have it's like he'd just been smashed with the end of a broom like 1,000 times. Like, an unbelievable amount. And the mum pulls out,
yep.
People see it. And
everyone has
and the mum's
seen
like, like the other mum. This isn't his mum. This is like the other family's mum. She's like, what the fucking shit are they doing to this kid?
It is not subtle. All of the neighborhood knows this isn't good. It's bad.
Yeah. And then we cut to
a golf course.
Yeah, and we see Jesse, older brother, peg bolting across the golf course, and he's with dickhead buddy. What's his name? Dickhead mate.
Yeah, old mate, dick mate.
He's
that guy.
Idiot friend.
Yep.
They're running across the golf. We used to do that when we were kids because we lived near a golf course. Because you're not allowed to go on golf courses, even though there's no fences around them. Really.
Yeah.
You're not allowed on them, but as a kid, you used to run on them for adrenaline. Run across the field.
Sure. Try not to get hit by a golf ball.
Never did.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so they run into a forest. They just need to cut across the golf course to get to the forest. And you can see the dickhead mate has a like a BB gun, or an air rifle, or gel blaster.
I want to say it's a BB gun.
It's like a replica machine gun, school shooter gun.
Yeah, he's just practicing.
The kid that's into guns. He's always he has the things that he's bought online. He's bought mail order. Thing a kid shouldn't really have. It's like a slug gun.
Yeah.
If you will.
Yeah. And they're walking through and they're having just that general boy talk.
You're talking about how far did you get with the girl? You just touch a boob? And he's like, kinda.
He's like, yeah, I touched a boob. And he's like, oh, I treat my ladies right. He's like, this is a kid that he's an incel, basically. This kid is forever going to just not have sex with women consensually.
What, the dickhead mate?
The dickhead mate.
Yeah.
And so of course he's like big noting himself. He's having this, I've fucked many girls. I'm a big shot. Women like my dick.
Yeah.
It's all just talk. It's bullshit.
But then the young Jesse gets a little bit ahead of his mate walking, and then the mate just points the gun at him and goes, I don't know what he says. He just kind of fires the gun at him as a joke at first. He's like, oh, don't fucking fire the gun at me. And then he's like, the dickhead mate realizes, I can have some fun here.
Now it's a game.
Yeah, now it's a game. Now I'm hunting a human. And he starts shooting at his mate. Because this is what dickhead kids do.
Yeah.
He turns it into, he basically starts bullying the kid. So he's now, the kid starts running. Jesse starts running away because he doesn't get shot by the thing. Because it actually hurts a bit.
Yeah. And
the dickhead mate's chasing through he's turned into a game for himself. Like he's hunting a human. And it's just he's a horrible cunt.
Yeah.
He's just a cunt, hey?
He is. He's a dickhead.
Yeah.
He needs a kick in the dick.
Anyhow, Jesse gets a bit of distance on him, and then we see the dickhead mate. He kind of catches up with Jesse, and we see Jesse. He's just standing there.
Yeah.
He's just in a clearing in the middle of the forest. He's standing still again. You're like, what's gonna happen?
And then all of a sudden, this piercing sound just starts happening, and
Does Jesse hear it?
Jesse hears it.
Does the dickhead hear it?
He doesn't.
Yeah, so
Jesse's got
noise.
his hands over his ears, and he's just his mate's caught up, and he's like, what are you doing? And he immediately kind of
it's like he
arches his back
and straightens out his arms, and his eyes roll into the back of his head, and he basically has a seizure kind of thing.
And he's staring up at the sky, and he's just, it is fucking creepy. This kid did it good.
Yeah.
Because it freaked the shit out. I'm like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, oh dear.
It was not okay. And he just starts convulsing.
Yeah.
That's it. We now cut to the hospital, and a doctor comes out, and he's like, look, I've run...
your kids
He's like, I've run tests on your kid. There's just nothing physically wrong with him.
So, they're talking about Jesse.
So they're like, it's, could just be some emotional trauma. So now we get the doctor being a bit of a...
Because he did find...
Insinuating.
But he goes, I did find something on him, and I found some geometric shapes that could only be described as being branded onto him. And we see a photo of these shapes. So they must have been quite small. And they are the same geometric shapes from the very start of the film that were reflected onto the roof when the jars were all, piled up. But the mum should have noticed that.
Yeah.
But she didn't. But the dad, he sees these things and he's like fucking red with anger because he just assumes straight away because the whole way through the film, he doesn't like this dickhead mate.
No, he doesn't.
He's like, he's bad influence, he's a dickhead, he's older. And he just immediately assumes that this kid has been kind of torturing or bullying his son and branding him. Mm-hmm. And he's just like...
He's seeing red.
So he sees the photo, but then...
I now have a theory, which I don't want to say right now because it's going to I need it to come back. Remind me at the end that I have a theory.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then
we literally cut to...
the doctor says, we're going to have to put this under investigation.
Yeah.
You're going to kind of get blamed. This is before even anyone knows about these finger marks on the other kids. I'm like, oh, man, it's just piling up for these people, eh?
Yeah.
They're almost getting fucked with.
Yeah.
They're almost getting, tortured. As in, and I'm like, are they getting tortured?
Well, it's very similar to possession. There's stages of possession and they basically wear you down until you're so weak that they take over.
Yeah.
So,
but then the dad, man, he's just furious. And then we get a hard cut of dad running across, walking across the wife's going, don't. The younger Jesse's there, he's like, don't. We see dickhead mate in the front of his yard and he's like, oh, hey, Mr. Frickin', whatever your name is.
That guy.
And the dad comes up and he goes, what did you do to my kid? Scruff of the neck, throws him onto the ground.
Yep. And as this happens, the scumbag kid's dad, he comes outside.
And he's like a deadbeat big dad.
He looks like a fucking... He hasn't worked in a while.
Deadbeat dad. Dickhead friend's deadbeat dad comes out and basically just slogs, punches out Daniel dad.
Yep. And he also mentions, he's like, your fucking family's weird.
Yeah, you're the bloody... Because he says, you're the weird ones. Everyone knows everything that's happening to them.
Yeah.
Get away from my... And then the dad realizes, these were the fuck up family. Now we're the fuck up family.
You might be trailer trash.
So they all go home at the exact time. Just to add insult to injury, to rub the salt in the wounds, the other mum comes home with... the little baby, the younger brother, and she's at the door with him.
Yeah, and she's like, we need to talk.
Yeah.
And that's heartbreaking. No parent would ever want their kids to come home. And so she's just found out that not one, but both of her children are being physically abused in some
And then
way.
she basically goes, it's not me. The only explanation is dad, Daniel dad. So for a moment she loses it. She's just like, what have you fucking... What?
Well, she assumes that it's him.
Yeah, because who else would it be? The kid isn't with anyone, really. Then again, they do lend their kid out to other people.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, she's just like, what have you... Did you hurt our sons? Have you been hurting our children? And yeah, the family's falling apart.
So I think at some point, Sammy mentions that it was the Sandman as well.
And then she goes, you're the Sandman.
Yeah.
So you've been going into the rooms at night. You've been setting off the alarms. It's the dad. Fucking, God knows what.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah.
He kind of calms that down. He goes, well, it's not me. And she... No. I think she believes him. She just went off.
We're all in this together. We can't tear apart now.
Yeah.
That's fine. We cut to Jesse is in his room and he's texting the little ginger girl. And she's like, what happened with... your dickhead mate today? And he's texting back well, what happened at the pool today? So I think a lot of the information is now being kept from Jesse, from the kids. They're trying to hush it up.
He doesn't even know about the pool, does he?
No. So there's lots of questions to be had. And that's it. And Dad's now, he's trying to stay awake in front of the cameras. He's rubbing his eyes, he's nodding off and he's waking up, and just as he's about to nod,
he catches him live.
Fucking startled.
He sees the camera go.
They all start surging up, and
he's like, "Is something's happening? There's something going on." I think he figures there's someone fucking with the surveillance and coming into his house, at that stage.
Yeah. So at this point, like he gets up and he's like, because it's the surgeon coming from Sammy's room. So he gets up, he runs upstairs.
He piss bolts there.
And he's like, Sammy's in there, he's asleep, there's nothing wrong. And he kind of wakes Sammy up. He's like, hey, Sammy. He's like, what, Dad? Like, it's okay. And Sammy rolls over to reveal that he has no fucking eyes.
His eyes have been pulled out.
Just black, hollowed eyes, black-eyed kid style.
But don't worry. It was just a dream.
It's all a dream.
Dad had gone to sleep at the surveillance camera. It was just,
Yeah.
It's just everything getting to him. Anyhow, he starts looking at he starts going through the surveillance footage.
Yeah, he starts going through the Google research that Felicity has left him, and he's like,
he starts looking.
Okay, I'm going to go check the cameras. So he goes back down, and he's, rewinding through and seeing the surge. And while he's doing that, he's like, okay. So now we start playing the,
the
slow-mo.
frame by frame. He goes into frame by frame.
Enhance.
No, this makes sense.
It does make sense. It's literally frame by frame.
Yeah, like, so, 25th of a sec. He's just going frame by frame, looking at all of these, like, static, going through. And then all of a sudden, he comes to one frame where they're all clear for 1 millisecond, and he can see every single bed has a ghostly figure standing over it, looking for like 1 milliframe. And it's not quite solid. It's quite clear. It's like almost a shadow, which is leering at the edge of the bed, looking over everyone. Was there one of him in his room? I can't remember. When he was like sleeping?
It might have been him it could have been over him, actually.
Anyway, he looks at that and he's like, oh, fuck.
Yep.
And then he kind of just stands up, goes back to bed.
He does. He just casually goes and lays down next to Felicity, and then she wakes up, and he's like...
He tells like a story.
Do you remember when, Jesse was sick as a kid, like, and he was so sick and he was in the hospital, and he kind of relays this story of like, this is the first time I've ever felt helpless was when my son was so sick and there was nothing I could do about it.
But I got through it because you were there.
Yeah.
So he's basically, I can do anything as long as we're together.
Yeah.
And then he's just like,
I'm ready to believe.
I'm ready to believe.
Yeah.
I'm with you on this.
Yeah. It's like, I'm all in.
Because I've got these screenshots, but it didn't show her.
No.
Like I would have pause.
Yeah.
Screenshots.
Come see this.
Upload to YouTube.
Guys, check it out.
Check it out. There's ghosts. Anyway, cut to next day. And they've gone to visit the expert. And this is where the film fucking starts to shine.
As if it wasn't already shining.
I know. As I said, every good horror film has a great expert. Poltergeist, it's the little lady.
Yeah.
And, the expert that comes in and knows what's going on to speed the story along.
Yeah.
And to give basically answers and plays of what they can do to get out of this situation. So they go visit the expert, which is played by J.K. Simmons, who I've just called Simmons. I don't even know.
Yeah, I just keep referring to him as J.K. Simmons. He has a name, but I didn't pick it up. So he's approached them and he's got groceries in his hand. He's like, oh, I'm really sorry. I just had to pop to the shops. And she's like, we need to talk.
And at first he was like, he goes into a diatribe about like, I'm here because like the dog's barking.
Yeah.
He goes like, where I was before, whenever stuff happens, the dogs go crazy. And so I chose this building because there's no pets allowed so I can get some sleep these days.
Yeah.
And he just breaks into that story. And
it's such a cool house as well. So it is a standard, like, it's like maybe like a 2-bedroom apartment. And
I thought it was a building block with no pets allowed.
Well, he's got like 7 cats.
Yeah, but it's like he comes up a stairwell.
Yeah, so I'd still say it's like a 2-bedroom apartment in this whatever block, and it is it's floor to ceiling. There's like research pictures on the wall. There's like newspapers, books piled up.
4 cats.
He is the quintessential like
conspiracy theorist,
conspiracy guy.
It's a conspiracy theorist dream. His apartment. It's got pictures of like greys, newspaper clippings of abduction,
artwork, all this stuff.
Oh, tabloid shit.
Yeah, and that's when I think like the dad makes a comment
about... He has 1 million cats,
like,
I've written in my notes.
Of course he has cats. And that's when he says, I like cats because they don't seem to be bothered by them. And he's like, I used to live in the suburbs. I used to have dogs, but they come and the dogs don't like them.
Yeah,
And that's where we get this, like...
Dogs don't like the visitors.
And then he starts talking... So we now get this, he's like, I just don't fight them anymore. And then we go into this spiel.
But first he shows him this thing like, there's a couple of, like, there's 3 types of main aliens.
Yeah.
So he just goes straight into it straight away, expecting they're already believers.
Yeah.
And he goes, there's, like, the greys, there is the insectoids, and there's the reptilian shapeshifters.
Yeah.
And these are, like, the most crude drawings he's got of these things, and it makes him look like a fucking idiot nut.
Yeah.
But then he's like, I don't really, I don't believe in the last 2.
Yeah.
It's just not enough evidence to support it. And you're like...
So he's like, 9 times out of 10, it's the greys.
And the dad is just off it.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know what? Maybe this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
This is stupid. And yeah, he pulls out a questionnaire and he's like, I just want to do a quick survey. Weeds out the nuts.
I like that he said. So I don't know if you wrote them down that I did. He's like,
I wrote some of the questions. Yeah.
Have you seen any bright lights? Have you experienced severe headaches or migraines?
And they were like, the first 2 questions, they were no answers. They were like,
yeah.
I can't remember what they were, but they're like, no. And they realize that this is going to be something stupid. Then they're like...
Ringing in the ears that only happens inside your head? Yes.
Yes.
Have you experienced any strange illnesses, allergies, or nosebleeds? Yes. Have you witnessed abnormal behavior from animals? Have you experienced...
He's like...
The birds?
He even says, 3 migrations of birds flew into our house. He goes, I'm just going to put a yes down for that one.
Have you experienced blackouts or long periods of time loss?
Yes.
Feeling you might now be...
Someone is controlling you. Like your body is not under your control. And they're like, yeah.
Yeah. So they've answered the questionnaire. They're clearly having visitors.
And the dad gets angry. He goes, how do you know this?
Yeah.
As if it's like he's trying to blame him. You've come into my house and done all these things. No.
Yeah. It's like, we've just literally just met, mate. She asked the questions like, why us? What makes us so special? And
this was like...
This was good because anything else that they would have made up some bullshit thing. But this is what makes it so fucking terrifying.
Yes, the truth is there's nothing special about you.
Yeah. It's beyond random. Our comprehension. Like, this shit ain't like the movies. The invasion has already happened.
Yeah, I like that. It's always about, aliens coming down and blowing up the Capitol building. But the truth is the invasion already happened.
It's like, not sure when, but they are here. And she's like, well, what do they want? It's like, to study us, use our fears against us. It starts as, it's like the possession thing. It starts as a prank, turns into a nightmare. And then he's like...
He goes, these things that you're experiencing now, these aren't the beginning. These are near the end.
Yes.
And I was like, oh.
Like, oh, fuck.
He goes, they only reveal, once they only reveal them, like, they fuck with you for years and only reveal themselves once they're getting ready to take somebody. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, get fucked.
And then
wicked.
Right?
Like, the idea that they didn't even know what was happening and that these things, are just like, we don't have to, be.
Yeah. And then he says, you probably already have implants. And, like, Felicity turns to the dad and he's like, oh, no, it's just a bug bite. And he's like, let's have a look. And he's like, oh, yep, there it is.
That's an implant.
It hasn't taken too well. It hasn't taken well. Most people don't know they have it. You can't remove it. And they're like, well, how do you know that? And he shows his.
Back of his ears all scarred
and he's like,
up.
Every time I think I've got it,
it seems to move away.
And I'm like, ugh. And then of course here comes the bargaining. He's like, well, we can just move. We've moved. And
this is a great line.
These beings came millions of light years to get here. Do you really think moving to the next town will stop them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's when he says, like, they are not the beginning of something. They are the end of something.
And then the Greys, he goes, the Greys abduct usually, since these disturbances are happening, it means that someone's about to be abducted.
Yeah.
And they usually abduct the first family member that they took interest in. Who was the first person, that this shit was happening to? And they're like, oh, fucking hell, what's his name?
Sammy.
Little kid.
He's like, well, he is in the most danger.
He's in the most danger. And he basically said, from what's happening, it's basically going to be like tonight or tomorrow night.
It's happening. So Felicity's gone
That was
off.
the greatest scene.
It was.
I got to say.
This scene was fucking amazing.
Like the room was all dimly lit. Like, there wasn't much light coming in. It was all like, it felt stagnant.
Yeah.
Like the air would have been.
Like it would have been very musty.
Like he doesn't open his windows up very much because he doesn't want to.
No.
Because he says as well, I don't know if you mentioned, he goes, I just, the best thing to do is just don't fight them anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, but they're like, what can we do?
Yeah.
And he goes, and then I really like this as well. He goes, you can't do anything. When they come, they're going to take it. But there has been instances where the people have just made it so awkward and so hard that the aliens just go, you know what, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
We'll just go to the next person. And
Yeah.
like, so your only game that you've got, it's only happened like once or twice. Like, your only thing you do is just, like, make it difficult for them that they're just, like...
You can make it as hard for them as possible. Your greatest defense is a family united.
Yeah, and that's because that's why they're always trying to pull you apart. And that's why they're psychologically fucking with you so you're against each other. And I'm like, man, these guys are cunts, these aliens. Like...
So while this has all been happening as well, Felicity had popped off to the bathroom. She'd, like, spritzed herself up and she found herself in one of his rooms. And that room is full of pictures of missing people, missing children.
Says he's interviewed thousands of people.
Yeah.
And it all ends the same.
Yeah, it all ends the same. I think he mentioned that maybe there were 1 or 2 cases where they were returned, but it doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
So basically that's the end of that chapter. They know what they've got to do.
Yeah, montage of suiting up, getting ready for the night. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
It's the 18 music.
I know what it is. So that before they go off to do that, they have this very brief conversation where she's like, well, we should just go to the cops. And he's like, no, if you go to the cops, they're going to take our kids away. Like, we are going to do the best thing that we know how. Cut to gun shop.
Yeah, gun
He's like,
shop.
I need a gun that's just going to pack
do a lot of damage at close range.
She's like, what kind of hunting are you doing? And he's just like, I think we have a don't ask, don't tell kind of fucking deal. Like,
yeah.
Meanwhile, she's at the pound.
Yeah, they're buying like...
Getting a fucking
we're getting
German
a puppy.
Shepherd.
And they're like, how about this one? It's like, and it says on the tag...
Aggressive?
This one, yes, this one will do.
This is the one. We will take this one.
Because he mentions about the dogs, so the dogs are a good alarm.
Yeah.
So it cuts them boarding up their house, and I'm like, well, maybe if they don't have a window, they can't get in. But what are you going to do? You have to do something.
Well, you do. I mean, even if you know it's not going to work, I think sometimes just doing it makes it better.
So at this time, this is the point where you realise that those bits where where she saw the alien and it looked like she disappeared, they have implants in them because he says that's how they control you.
Yeah.
So the alien just would have froze her and then just walked out. And that's why the kid wasn't there anymore and he was outside because we don't know how long a time it was for that 1 second when she turned on the light.
Yeah.
So it's not that they can disappear or anything. They can just freeze you so you don't notice that shit's happening. Which is kind of cool. So they can't go through walls.
Yeah.
Like implied in that shot that you were
saying. That's why the back door's always open.
Yeah. So they actually physically have to be able to get into your house, which I kind of like. And it weren't that they just phase through walls. It's just that they freeze you when they're coming down so you don't fucking wake up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it makes it cool. It makes all the sense. But they don't say that in the film, which is what I like. It's up to you to like, which I only got just then.
So like Jesse's not having a bar of this. I think he's absolutely terrified and he's just like, what are you doing? And little Sammy turns around, he's like, we're keeping out Sandman. And he's just like, he's just got his little hammer and he's nailing away and he's just like, sure, Sandman.
Because he's a kid. He doesn't have any, he doesn't know this is the weird thing.
No, Jesse fucking hardballs his dad and he just cracks the shit. So he's like, I'm fucking done with this.
We're a crazy family. You're making us look like idiots. You're making us all look like crazies.
Yep. And he has a hissy fit and he rides off down the street.
On his treadly. Fuck you, Dad.
Yeah. He's now out the front of this.
He goes to the redhead girl's house.
Yep. And they're having a chat.
And he's like, my dad's fucking weird. He's a crazy man. She's like, I know your dad. And there's one thing he's not crazy.
No, he's like, he's weird, but he's not crazy.
Yeah, as in calm down.
She talks some sense into him, which is good.
Yeah, it was unexpected actually.
Yeah. And then we cut back to the house. Felicity is making dinner. The dog is there, and she's talking to Sammy, and she's hardlining him. she's like, okay, like if Sandman comes to you tonight, you just got to tell him to fuck off.
Don't listen to the Sandman.
Do not talk to him. Do not listen to him. Like you just
don't do what he says.
Go away, Sandman.
Yeah.
You know, Jesse.
And the other brother returns home now, and he's like, you know what? I
might have overreacted. And he's just like, something's coming tonight, isn't it?
He goes, the Sandman's coming, isn't he?
And as that fucking happened, all these fireworks start getting let off in the background. It's the 4th of
July.
Yep. And I fucking shit my pants because I was not expecting all this loud noises. And of course, I'm like, headphones are on. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so loud. Nope.
Yeah. So then we cut to the family. They've boarded themselves in. They're around the dinner table.
It is a quiet family dinner.
They turn on, his dad tries to lighten the mood. He turns on the fireworks on TV. They start watching it, and they're still glum as fuck. And then the dad, I'm not going to get into it, he starts, regaling, is that the right word?
Yep.
Regaling stories of their past. Hey, Sammy, remember that time last 4th of July when we did this and that? He kind of calms them all down.
Yeah.
Reunites them a little bit more of a family. They all tell stories. Memories of And the dad does real good here.
This is his
shining moment.
Some of the first time that he's actually starting to be a dad.
Yeah.
Because I did not get dad vibes from him at all. I just got scumbag.
Then suddenly the TV starts going... That's static, by the way.
Doggo starts fucking going off.
Dog, bark, woof.
Yep. Woof, woof.
Woof, woof. The lights... Aggressive, German Shepherd, like, anger barks.
Yeah.
He's looking at the roof.
He's going crazy. The lights start flickering. It's go time. They know that whatever is coming.
Yeah, the mum runs upstairs with the kids, locks them both in the bed. I thought this was a bad run. Stay together.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the whole point?
It's the mistake. It's the mistake that everyone makes. Like, she's grabbed a knife. She's taken the kids upstairs and he's grabbed his shotgun. And you just assume that he's going to do the brave dad thing and fend off what is going to inevitably come through that door. She's going to take them upstairs. But then she locks them in the bedroom and then she stands outside.
Is it the older brother's bedroom?
Yeah.
She stands outside with a knife, like making sure no one's going to come in there. The dad stays downstairs. He's got the shotgun aimed at the front door. There's this light that it looks like a giant light on the outside of their house beaming in.
Mm-hmm.
There's shit trying to open the door. And then we just see all the screws that they've put in start to unscrew. And I was like, this is wicked.
Like, yeah, oh God.
They're like, and then they're like, boonk, and they get shot across the room. And they're like, boonk. Boom, 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 and all the screws start coming out. And then we get one of the best scenes.
Yes.
Cut back to mum. She is in.
Oh my God.
She is in the hallway.
Yep.
Upstairs. It's night-ish because all the lights have gone off. Yep. So like the aliens, they're like.
Well, they're boarded in, so it could be day, it could be night. Who fucking knows?
But also the power's fucked.
It's dark.
Fucked.
The house is black.
It seems like and then we see the mum. And this was one. This is the greatest shot. Like, she's in the hallway with her fucking carving knife, looking around, and we see just standing behind her is one of these fucking things, and it's just standing there, and it's like as she's taking a step, it's taking a step, and it reaches its arm out to touch on the shoulder, and then it like has an afterthought, and you see its hand kind of recall back, and it's like, you know what?
Not yet.
No, he's like, I'm not after you.
Yeah.
There's no need to fuck with you.
Because while she's standing at the door, the TV in their bedroom goes off, and it's doing that America.
Yeah, it's doing the anthem. Is it the anthem?
I don't know what it is,
but it's like it's fucking up.
So she's going to investigate that. She's leaving, and that's where it starts.
And that was great. That shot. I actually remember thinking to myself, "This is great." Like she walks into the room, and you got the TV going. It's got like, the Ode to Joy America, or whatever. The 4th of July song.
Yeah.
But the TV's fucking up, so it's going and it's singing it really weird. And she's lit like by this TV. There's this fucking thing like behind her, and you're just like, fuck.
Yep. And it's recorded back. She walks into the room, and
it's such a weird scene as well, just with that singing happening.
It's so eerie. And as she's sort of looking around the room,
she's like, "There's nothing in here."
The door just slams shut.
So now she's locked in her bedroom.
Yep.
The other kids are locked in their bedroom. Dad is downstairs. The boards are unscrewing a bit more.
Yeah.
And we're down with Dad again. So the door just falls off the hinges. Like, it's nothing is holding this door on anymore. The screws have been taken out the hinges. It just falls down.
Yep.
And it's this bright light coming in.
Yeah.
It's just white. The whole doorway is like basically a doorway to heaven. And Dad's just like, leave us alone. And he just fires
starts shooting
the shotgun into this whiteness. And that's where that scene cuts. And you're like, what the fuck?
This is intense.
This is like Home Alone.
This is intense.
Cut to the brothers in the locked bedroom.
Yep.
They're hugging each other on the bed. And we see light come around their door.
Yeah. Starts happening again. And
we see someone trying to open the doorknob.
Yep.
You're like, oh, fucking shit. And the door bursts open. It's fucking Dad.
Oh, Dad. Thanks, Dad.
It's Dad. He grabs the kids. He goes, kids.
It's like, got to keep the family together. We've got to go back down. We've got to go.
And the mum's still in the bedroom, like, you know, trying to get out. Dad's just like, get out of the way of the door. He fucking kicks the door in like a hero guts.
Yep.
And the whole family runs in and jumps on the bed together, and they huddle as one unit in this room. Everything's gone fucking haywire. The house is shaking. The lights there's a strobe light effect happening. The TV's flashing into it. It's fucking chaos. It's great. And then suddenly there's one flash, dead silence, and then another flash comes on, and their whole fucking bed is surrounded by these fucking aliens. Like, but they're all kind of out of focus, which is great. You never really see them properly. They will look like, we don't explain them. They're very thin. Their arms are almost like so thin they can't be real.
Yep.
So they've got this mass kind of like torso, upper torso. But then their head, they have a neck. But where their head is kind of not the traditional like grey big head. It's like kind of an elongated head that's like in front of them.
Yeah.
It's like a David Firth character from Solid Fingers. Like,
yes.
And its waist goes so thin, it's like unbelievably thin. Like, so, but because they're kind of blurry and out of focus, you can't really see them properly. And you're like, oh, what are they?
It's intense.
They're black as well. They're not like light characters. They look like they got black skin.
Yeah. So I mean, because they're considered the greys, so they would be grey. Very dark grey.
And this is fucked. This shot. Like, I'm like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen? And like this all happens, and suddenly. The mum screams.
Yep.
The dad fires his gun just at one of them. And then instantly, the moment the gun fires, the greys disappear.
Yep.
The mum and dad disappear.
Yep.
Which means, but there's just the two kids left on the bed, which means at that point, you can only assume that the aliens turned on the head thing in the kid.
Quite possibly, yeah.
In the kids?
So you're sitting there going, oh, the parents been taken, but then Sammy, like, so Jesse's on the bed and he's like, you know, the tuck and roll kind of position. He sort of looks up and everyone's gone.
And everything's
quiet. He sees Sammy running down the hallway. Jesse goes barreling after him, running down the stairs, and just as he gets to the bottom of the stairs, the house starts to change.
Yeah, it doesn't just like, At first I thought it was just getting light, but it doesn't. It actually changes. The house turns into, it slowly melts down the house and turns into a daytime version of the other weird rental house that she was trying to sell, where they had those weird moments and shit. What's your theory? Is this where you want your theory?
No.
Huh.
But now I've got a new one. Do you think that that was originally their house that they lived in? Because there was mention a couple of times of in the other house, and this house seems to be such an important part of what is happening. So they're desperately trying to sell this house, which they could potentially they could be owning this house and that house, which is why all this money is being like cycled away.
And why would he want to go there? It's like familiar to him.
Yeah, and so this is obviously, you know, I mean, if he's only been there a couple of times with his mates, why would he be visualizing this place? Maybe they've previously lived there.
Although some pretty emotional things happen there for him.
Well, that's true.
And so it's good. Like, it's a great effect. Like when a house melts in. I thought it was just the house melting into daytime until I realized it wasn't even the same house, but it looks great. Because
he starts walking around, and while he's walking, we just hear this sound. It's like this clunk, 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 clunk. And as he's walking through,
this is so horror.
And to each room, it's just getting louder, and it's so menacing. And he walks into the kitchen to find his mum dead on the floor. She has literally been shot. There is blood all over the walls.
Shot with the shotgun.
Dad is sitting on the floor. He is banging that gun on the
He's
ground.
banging the shotgun just on the ground by the butt of it. Like, he's the one making the noise. And the dad just basically looks at him. What does he say? Like, he says, like...
He says something.
It's something like...
It's like you were... Something about being a bad dad.
Come be with us or something, isn't it? Or
it's
something like that.
weird.
And then he just puts the shotgun to his head and just commits suicide in front of his kid. And the fucking kid's face when he sees that, he's like, oh, God. No wonder you fucking...
Oh, it's intense.
And then he runs around... He runs...
I think he just turns. I think he turns in the other room. Sammy's in the corner and he's like giggling. So not only do we have this creepy kid, he's now creepy kid giggling.
Yeah.
So he's giggling about that. And he runs off.
At this point, you're kind of like, hang on, this isn't Sammy.
It's like, this is
all hallucination.
This is not right. Yeah. He's playing hide and seek.
Yeah, and then he's walking through and there's like, one of the rooms has his dickhead mate and the redhead girl is sitting on a bed watching that porno together.
Yeah, so
and
he hears something.
And they're like, come and join us. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, and then he immediately hears the giggle again and he turns around and Sammy's on the floor.
He's on the floor in like the, what is that? Like a somersault fetal position?
Yeah, he's...
just sitting on the ground.
He's tucked.
Like, with his back to us, so we can't see his face.
Yeah.
And we see Jesse's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He goes out, he reaches out, he goes to touch the little brother. Mm-hmm. I think the moment he just touches him, instantly he's back.
Yeah.
In the original house at night time again. He is at the end of the hall. At the other end of the hall is his family.
Yeah.
And they would have been seeing him doing something weird.
Yeah.
So they're all standing together and they're like, Jesse, what are you doing? Come here.
Yeah.
And he looks and he sees the little brother is with the parents.
Yeah.
And then at that exact moment,
one of the greys,
three of them.
You see one, like he turns to his parents and behind him you see one of the greys and then he is immediately surrounded
By three of them like they're so close to him they could touch him. Like they're basically making a triangle around him.
Yep.
And light that starts pouring out.
And there's this huge flash
like
of light.
From him, basically.
Yeah.
Like these aliens are creating this triangle which is causing this light effect which does he float?
I don't think he floats. I think it's just like this.
He kind of goes into that
he's
seizure mode.
engulfed in this and then it's a flash of light and bam. That's it. We are literally from there cut to J.K. Simmons.
It's a whiteout.
Yeah, it is a whiteout.
It's a whiteout.
And J.K. Simmons is sitting in his apartment and he starts reading the newspaper and spies an article. And it's about a missing boy and the parents are suspected.
And he knows who it is.
He starts cutting it out.
He starts cutting it out
and sticks it up in his missing person room.
And his kids adds Jesse's head up there.
Adds it. And
you're like, I thought that scene was sick. I was like, oh God, this is heavy.
Like he knew it was happening and he sat down and he's like,
so the aliens came and took Jesse, not the little kid.
Not Sammy.
Anyhow, cut to 3 months later, title card on the bottom of the thing, and we have are they moving into a new house here, or are they packing up the old house?
No, so they are basically moving into a new, it's an apartment. They're in this tiny little apartment, so obviously whatever has happened to them, so I'm guessing the financial troubles just got a hell of a lot worse. I'm pretty certain he did not get that job after all this. He might
have. We can see, though, that they have now become the tin hat foil people. They have a big wall on their thing with all maps of America with photos of kids that have obviously been abducted as well. Mm-hmm. They have started to become the next J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
To investigate, to try and find their son in probably the hopes that he'll be one of the returners.
Yeah. The dad is on the phone as well while this is happening and he is talking about court dates. So he's like, oh, look, when's the next date? And he's like, they don't believe us. But he's like, you're our lawyer. You are meant to believe us. So clearly they are going through some kind of court battle regarding the disappearance of their child, which is so upsetting.
And then it's fucked, isn't it? And then we see the mum, she's in the room with little Sammy. Mm-hmm. She's unpacking a box of stuff, which would have been Jesse's stuff from when he was younger.
Yep.
And then she finds a bunch of photos of the kids and implying that, this is old stuff. And then she finds some photos that Jesse drew when he was quite young.
Yeah.
And we can see on them there is clearly some grey photos on there. And you're like, and this is the twist. This was a great twist.
This was a fantastic twist. So,
and then you realise that when we get a whole bunch of flashbacks of bits in the film of people saying like, has it's like, cuts to J.K. Simmons going, has anyone been sick in your family? And then cuts to her saying, when our little boy was young, he was sick, and then all of a sudden he got better. He never got sick again.
All the time.
And then he never got sick again, which is weird. Mm-hmm. And little, like, red herring, things like that. And you realise that these aliens had been visiting the older brother his whole life.
Yep.
And coming and doing shit to him. And that's why he was a bit glitched. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, fuck. And the twist that it was never about the little kid.
No.
It was because they fuck with everyone at the end.
Yeah.
So they just, and that's when he said, this is not the beginning, this is the end. So they just assumed because they'd only thought it was the kid that, And you're like, oh, how sickening.
Oh, my God.
They caused his illness.
Yep.
They gave him an illness, studied it, and then took it away from him. And and you're just like, oh dear, oh Long Johnson,
oh long.
And then so that was great.
Yep.
Fucking adding the cherry on the pie of an already great film. You're like, oh man, there's a fucking Shyamalan twist.
Yeah,
but not like a too ham-fisted twist either.
No.
And then we see the brother. Then what happens?
So Sammy pulls out the little. He hears the walkie-talkie go off in one of the boxes.
Yeah.
And he's like,
the walkie-talkie that
they were always chatting on.
It's just static.
And he's like rifling through the box, and he finds it, and they pick it up, and it's just static. It's weird. It's weird.
It's got the clicky noises that we heard earlier on through all the statics.
Yep. And then we get Jesse's voice very briefly and very quickly just call out Sammy.
Is that what it was?
It was Sammy.
Sorry.
Yeah, it just says Sammy, and then
you're like, oh,
it's literally black.
Hard cut.
Credit roll.
And not even the music. No music, just like sounds of shit. Like,
it's like, what?
Oh, not that. Like,
yeah. It's intense.
And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I had to go change my pants. It was so good.
It was great.
Final thoughts, Jan?
Okay, so here's my theory.
Oh, yeah, your theory.
So I think because Sammy was being... I don't want to say Sammy was being targeted as such, but because he had so many bruises over him, do you think that they were like sort of investigating him? Because obviously Jesse had been branded with these little geometrical shapes and stuff. Do you think that they were searching Sammy's body for those brands thinking it was Jesse?
No, I don't think they'd be that dumb.
Well, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what they're doing? I think
that they were I thought they abused the little kid.
Yeah.
Because they knew the parents would get blamed. Because it says that they try and separate them.
Yeah.
I reckon they were trying to make as little people in the house as possible for when they wanted to come take him.
Yeah.
I love this film.
Oh my God. This film is so good. I always forget how
good it is.
It's
the best. It's the best alien abduction film there is. Like, it's better than...
Well, you haven't watched Fire in the Sky yet.
Yeah, I know. Well, up until that, Altered was pretty fun. But I think this is easily the best one. Like, this is a coherent movie that is like, even if you're not into alien abduction, it's just a solid horror film.
It is. Because, if you don't read this, if you go in kind of blind, this is just another. Is it a haunted house? Is it a family thing? Is it?
I think they should have changed the name to not be so. It's clearly Dark Skies because there's a TV show of the same name.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if it's a movie or a TV show of this film, but Dark Skies is because I reckon it's a shitty sci-fi thing.
Yeah, probably.
I reckon I've watched it.
I like the soundtrack as well because the soundtrack is so important to the outcome of the film. I honestly recommend because I did watch this. So I watched this last night. I watched it on my laptop. I was in the dark and I had my fucking noise cancelling powerful headphones on, and it was just so immersive and made it even more. There were moments that was certain things with the soundtrack and things that were happening that I would get chills.
Yeah.
And it was very...
fuck that.
I was just like, oh.
And, you get a whole... It's like a super indulgent film. It's like constant stream of really good ideas. You get the bit where, we said, like Paranormal Activity. You get the bit... It also reminded me of The Ring. It's this mum trying to solve this problem with her kid through these, puzzle parts. It got this real Ring feeling to it. And and everything's super interesting. The greys are never shown too much. You never get that spoiler at the end and you're like, is that it? Is that the big monster?
Yeah.
Which is great because you see them enough.
Well, that's the thing as well. They don't need to be the monster because there's no way to get around it. There's no way to fight it.
They don't win.
No, they don't win.
And it's like the Ring. You can't win.
Do you kind of think that J.K. Simmons was one of the returned?
Well, yeah.
Because he mentions that it doesn't happen often, but it can happen. So maybe either he was a returned or one of his kids was maybe taken.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me. I got really weird vibes of like a Junji Ito story because it was so indulgent and so many. Every scene had a payoff. Every scene had a payoff.
Yep.
Like something happened that you were just like, cool. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't. There was no like scenes just to build atmosphere. Every scene had a reason or something to push the story forward or to make it more confusing, which is something like
well, that's the thing. Like, even if you're watching it and you're like, why are there so many shots of this scene happened for 20 seconds? This was this was this. It all made sense. It was all for a reason.
Also, we forgot to mention as one of the questions that Jake Simmons asked them in his survey was like, has anything gone missing in your house? And that's like where the photos came in.
Yeah, the photos.
Like,
yeah.
Why would they fucking do that? They're weirdos.
It's a prank.
I like that we can't understand them. That didn't make sense.
Yeah.
There was at no point when he's like, you can't comprehend what they're doing. I'm like, you can't because that's weird.
Yeah.
Why do they want that?
Why the photos? Why the fridge? Why this? Why that? Like,
were they hungry?
Well,
or are they just trying to fight? Yeah, and I love it. There aren't clear. I think when you try to over-explain a film is when you fall into a pothole. Yeah. And if there's nothing left to question at the end, there's nothing left to think about, so you don't care about it.
Well, that is the thing. That's why I like this film so much, is because, like, the more you watch it, like, you know, you come out of it going, oh, well, what about this thing and this thing? And maybe this could have been this. And even if it has nothing to do with it, it's still a conversation starter, which is what I thoroughly like about it.
What did you give it?
I did give this an A. I think it is very awesome and everyone should watch it.
That's what I gave it. Double A.
Yeah.
Double A's. Oh, man.
So good.
Get out there. Watch it. If you like alien films, you'll love this one if you haven't seen it. And if you don't like alien films, but you like horror films, you'll like it.
Yeah. I think
it's as good.
I don't think there's anyone... I defy you to come back to me and tell me that you didn't like this film.
Oh.
Yeah.
Someone will.
I know. There's always one.
What's next week?
Okay, so next week I've decided that we are going to watch our first werewolf film. And we are going to...
Is it Ginger Snaps?
It's not Ginger Snaps.
Good.
It's not Ginger Snaps. Not yet. We're going to watch Cursed.
I don't even know what that is.
So Cursed is 2005. Christina Ricci, Fuckface Eisenberg, and it's actually got a pretty good cast. This film is a bit cursed because there was a lot of shit happened. I think one of the studios burnt down.
Literally and metaphorically?
Yeah. The Wes Craven film too.
Is it?
The studio burnt down, so they lost a lot of the footage.
I bet I'll start watching it and I've seen it.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
It's notoriously meant to be not what it should have been. So it's either...
Oh, is it like... Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's either...
It's like Super Mario Brothers 2.
Like, I remember seeing it, but I'm pretty certain it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. So, yeah.
Done. Put it in, lock it in. Curse 2005. Watch your homework, people.
Great. Okay, thank you guys. You've been listening to TerrorVision Horror Podcast with Dan and Jennifer. We are available on all major podcasting services and also on the YouTube. But no matter where you choose to consume us, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment or a review, and share with all your friends. We also have an Instagram at TerrorVisionPod, which will keep you up to date on upcoming episodes, trivia, and of course memes that are definitely 3 years old by now. We also have an email, terrorvisionpod@gmail.com. Let us know what you want us to watch, discuss, etc. And our opening and closing music is Void Swell by Sister Wife.
And remember, until next week, may all your dreams
be nightmares.